subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
And hired her as an employee. Hestia, who wasn't originally very materialistic, naturally didn't need to go to the gods to make money. Not to mention that he immediately gained a family member named Su Mo. The threat to survival was immediately lifted. Living standards have improved linearly. Oh! Seeing Hestia's confident look, Loki was curious. If you're not here to eat and drink, then what are you going to do in Shenhui? You don't have a dependent family, and you don't need to evaluate titles or anything like that. Hestia had a proud look on her face after hearing her words. Who said I don't have a family? I have a wonderful child. The blue ribbon goddess has her hands on her hips. The white slime was shaking, arousing the resistance of the stubborn Loki. This little man is mocking me. Huh, I didn't expect you to learn to lie, Hestia, Loki said without any belief. Just because you are a god who has no resources, is poor and broken, and doesn't even have a place to live, how is it possible that someone would join your family? The life of an adventurer is not romantic. On the contrary, it is very cruel. Chapter 275. So, a large family like Loki would have countless people scrambling to join. It's not because of anything else, just the benefits within the family, and the resources of old people to bring new people. There are also various advantages in logistics, which are enough to attract most adventurers. It's the same as looking for a job in modern society. Even if you can't get into a big company, you will choose a small or medium-sized company. And a family like Hestia, who has no office location except a company license. It's simply a wild chicken family among wild chicken families. How can you recruit people? At this point, Loki glanced at Hestia's mean slime. He showed a suspicious expression. Hestia, you can't attract the family through your mean body. It's better not to do this kind of thing. Freya's path is not so easy to copy. Suspecting that Hestia has gone astray, Loki kindly advised. Hestia is cute, but compared to Freya, she has no appeal to most adventurers. After all, she looks too young. And Loki doesn't want to see the famous pure goddess in heaven fall to this state. And hearing Loki's words, Hestia was almost furious. Who is the family that attracts through the body? I am a family that loves my child and resonates with the soul. You flat-chested goddess, don't try to use your dirty thoughts to speculate about my child. After saying this righteously, Hestia suddenly remembered that Su Mo praised her cuteness before going out. In other words, she really meets Su Mo's preferences. Loki's words may not be unreasonable. In this case, isn't it better? It just so happens that she also covets Su Mo's body. The two complement each other. Can't she be close to her own child? Thinking of this, Hestia smiled foolishly. Loki looked surprised. So, Hestia, you really have a family? You were kicked out of the house by Hephaestus just a month ago. Your new family has been promoted to LV2 within a month? Loki was really surprised. This upgrade speed is higher than that of Ace. It is simply the speed of genius. Of course, my child is the strongest. Hestia showed a proud look. Although it was only LV2 that was reported, Hestia knew it. My child's current combat power is estimated to be above LV9. This is the ceiling of Oreo. The strongest? Hearing Hestia's words, Loki shook his head with some amusement. Hestia, your vision is too narrow. You can call a mere LV2 the strongest. You are just a frog in the well, and you have never seen the world. Loki remembered the mysterious strong man named Su Mo reported by his child a few days ago. A single person defeated Barol, a floor master several times stronger than LV7, and he took AC deep into the dungeon that they dared to enter as a group. Not only that, AC followed that strong man for only one day and was promoted to LV6. Even so, there is no limit to the strength of that strong man. This is definitely not something that LV7 can do. At least a strong man of LV8 level. In other words, it exceeds the current strongest level of Oreo Oda. It is close to the power of the Hera family and Zeus family. Because of this reason, Loki forbids his family members to go to find out about Su Mo. to prevent angering this big man. After all, AC from her family is now taking care of him. The favor of helping to promote to LV6 is not small. With this good relationship, there is really no need to do small moves to annoy the other party. In front of this mysterious strong man named Su Mo, even the LV7 fierce man Oda. It is just the strongest on the surface. Even Oda is a great threat to the Loki family, which is second to none in Oreo. So, hearing that this idiot Hestia dared to directly claim to be the strongest, and she was just a novice adventurer at level 2, Loki was immediately amused. In this world, there are always some strong people you can't even imagine. Dwarf, the water of the world's strongest is too deep. You can't grasp it. Don't say this again in the future. You guy. Hearing Loki's seemingly kind, but actually contemptuous words, Hestia puffed up her cheeks and wanted to refute it. However, according to the plan discussed before, it is reasonable to slowly reveal the strength. So, Hestia thought about it and endured it. 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West. Don't bully the goddess of poverty. In a few months, she will be able to see Loki's shocked expression. So, Hestia chose to endure. Hold on, I will pretend to be big in the future. Seeing Hestia's expression of swallowing her anger, Loki wanted to tease her a few more times. But at this time, the meeting of gods had already begun. So she stopped. Loki came to the meeting of gods for a purpose. AC has just been promoted from LV5 to LV6. According to the regulations, she can keep her previous title or change it. Although, with the power of Loki's family, generally no one dares to change the name of AC. However, if these gods are not shocked, no one knows what stupid things they can do. That's why Loki came here to take charge. 220 Loki's polar reversal this time. The discussion of titles started with high-level adventurers. The adventurer with the highest level upgrade this month. Naturally, it was only the sword princess of Loki's family, a girl named AC Wallenstein. At the age of 16, she was promoted to LV6. Even genius is not enough to describe the growth rate of this girl, although I heard about it from gossip before. However, the official confirmation of this at the gods' meeting still made the gods feel very surprised. 16-year-old LV6. If she grows smoothly, her future achievements will be at least LV7. She will definitely be able to shoulder with Oda, the current strongest in Oreo. It is even possible to peak at the higher LV8. The gods don't know how far AC can go. But now it seems that as long as this girl is still alive, Loki's family will never decline. If she can really break through again, the momentum of Loki's family will become stronger. Even the current Freya family may not be able to compare with it. Considering this, the gods naturally dare not offend Loki. They dare not give Loki's treasure a funny name. This sword princess has always been cold, speechless, expressionless. How about calling her 3 nothings? A god joked. Then he was glared at by Loki. The god immediately broke into a sweat. I'm kidding. Chapter 276. The title Sword Lady is very good. He didn't want to be picked on by people from the Loki familia. In this atmosphere, AC's title was quickly decided. Leave it as is. After confirming AC's title, Loki didn't leave. She also wanted to see the excitement, especially Hestia's excitement. Loki was looking forward to what title this guy's family would receive. As the god of mischief, she is not a calm character. It is not common for adventurers to level up. However, there are also a lot of newcomers arriving at LV2. Soon it was Su Mo's turn. Hestia waited nervously. At this time, Loki came over and looked at the lowly goddess with a wicked smile. Hestia, if you ask me now, I might be able to help you. Who wants help from a flat-chested goddess like you? Hestia replied subconsciously. After she finished speaking, she remembered something. Wait, Loki, are you telling the truth? Although I don't want to beg this guy, but for the title of my own child. Hestia thought she could bear it. The worst thing is in a few months, when my child is promoted to LV7, he will come back and ridicule him. Hestia, you have to be patient. Thinking this, she looked at Loki expectantly. Loki was speechless when he heard Hestia's name. When it comes to himself, he is Loki. When not in use, she is a flat-chested goddess. This little dwarf is too realistic. Fortunately, I had no intention of actually helping her. Of course I lied to you, idiot. Haha, I never thought you would be fooled. Loki mocked him directly. As the god of mischief, he raises the hope of others and then drives them into the abyss. But it's her specialty. Damn it, you flat-chested. Airport. Washboard. You're a sure thing. Originally, Hestia was ready to let go. I didn't expect Loki to come here. She immediately became so angry that she yelled. It's a pity that as a goddess, her vocabulary is not very rich, so she just curses her with a few words. They were all dirty words learned from Su Mo, hear Hestia's words. Originally, Loki was still able to hold his nerve. She was used to being scolded by Hestia for being flat-chested. She didn't know what an airport was either. However, she knew about the washboard. It's a done deal, and she understands it. Drive 2 nails into the slab. Such a vivid metaphor made the god who heard their conversation burst into laughter. So vicious. These words. However, it is really vivid. Rocky's figure is really a definite model. Loki's face suddenly darkened, as black as a century-old iron pot. When it comes to flirty talk, she can't compare to Hestia. However, fortunately, she has no martial virtue and can still seek revenge from other places. She gave Hestia a nasty look. Little dwarf, just wait. Today, if I don't give your dependents an unpleasant name, I will write their names backwards. After letting go of the harsh words, Loki left angrily. He finally defeated Loki in a verbal battle. Hestia, who was very happy, immediately panicked after hearing this. How could she forget? This stingy Loki will definitely take revenge. It's over, it's all smashed. This time, not only can I not get a nice title, it might even have the opposite effect. Hestia was stunned. She tried to remedy that. However, the extremely angry Loki naturally ignored her. At this time, it was finally the turn of the members of the Hestia Familia. A tearless Hestia awaits her trial. I was thinking about what attitude I would have to adopt to make Su Mo forgive me after returning home. Damn it, I can't even do this little thing well. Could it be that I, Hestia, am actually a waste? I thought so, in my heart, but it has already started on the other side of the Shenhui. The next adventurer is from the Hestia Familia and is an adventurer who has just been promoted to LV2 level. The hosting god read the information in his hand. It immediately caused a commotion among the gods. Hestia? That otaku? Can this 10,000-year-old goddess actually form a family? It's really strange. It was beyond Hestia's expectations. Although her network of contacts is very narrow, she doesn't know many gods. But in fact, as a virgin goddess in the heaven, there are not many gods who know about her. After all, among the gods in the heaven, dead people like her are very rare. Finally waited for the step. Loki smiled evilly at Hestia. After being mocked like this by Hestia, it was simply not in her character to come back without revenge. It must be a particularly unpleasant title. Think so. Loki heard the name of the only member of the Hestia Familia. My name is Su Mo. He is good at using swords and wind magic. The god recited the information Hestia had declared with a somewhat surprised expression. He's as good at wind magic as Sword Princess. He was promoted to LV2 in just 1 month. He seems to be an incredible talent. And heard what he said. As expected, another storm was set off among the gods. Reaching LV2 within a month, this broke the record of Sword Princess. I didn't expect that the followers recruited by Hestia were so powerful. After the gods took a look at Hestia, they immediately cast their eyes on Loki. They heard what Loki said just now. He would definitely give the followers of Hestia's family an ugly nickname. The gods watched the development of the situation with gloating. Under the gaze of the gods, Loki was numb. What did you say just now? What is the name of the follower of Hestia's family? Zo, please give flowers. Zero, she asked the god who presided over the meeting in disbelief. Su Mo. What's so strange about this? The god who presided over the meeting immediately replied. What the hell? Loki flipped the table in his mind. After all this time, the mysterious strong man in his mind turned out to be a member of Hestia's family? How could that dwarf have such a god of war? Chapter 277 Loki doesn't think it's a duplicate name. This kind of Oriental civilization name is rare. Not to mention the time when Su Mo became Hestia's follower. It's the same time as the time when AIC met that strong man. In other words, Hestia's luck exploded, and she directly drew a peerless strong man. If I guess correctly, this strong man named Su Mo must have extraordinary combat power. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to grow to this point within a month of receiving the grace. As for the source of Su Mo's power, Loki didn't know, but now she only knew one thing. She was going to slap herself in the face. She said before that she would give Hestia's follower an ugly title. To put it bluntly, it was just bullying. Loki himself was very conscious. So, once the other party is more powerful than you, it won't be so easy to do this. If you really do this to save face, given the relationship between AC and the strong man named Su Mo, maybe AC will be led astray by the other party. Even if she is deceived, it is possible to give birth to a little AC. Wait, little AC seems to be good. It seems very cute. But now is not the time to think about this. The important thing is the possible revenge of the other party. Even the Loki family cannot bear the revenge of the suspected LV-8 adventurer. So, she can only admit defeat, just as she was about to speak. On the side, the god who was ready to attach himself to the Loki family came over to offer his courtesy. Since it is the family of the dead otaku Hestia, why not let her family's title also be called Dead Otaku? He thought Loki was worried about how to think of an ugly title. In order to connect with the Loki family, he immediately came over and racked his brains to think of a title that he thought was more ugly. Hearing this, Hestia glared. What's wrong with the dead otaku? The dead otaku is eating your rice. Are you a fool? As for the anger of Hestia, a god of a small family, the other party didn't care at all. He wanted to please Loki's family. This is a real benefit. Just when this eloquent god thought that Loki would agree with his proposal and get in touch with her, Loki looked at him coldly. What are you talking about? A genius who was promoted to LV2 in a month. Is this how you treat him? Where is your mind? Where is your mind as a god? As a god, you actually target a human being. It's so shameful. I am ashamed to be with you, said so righteously. Loki looked at Hestia with a sense of justice. Don't worry, Hestia. How can the grievances between gods involve the children of the family? I will never allow this to happen. She took the lead, and this attitude reversal simply shocked the gods. The god who was scolded by her looked shocked. Loki, how dare you say that to me? Wasn't it you who wanted to target Hestia's followers in the first place? How dare you say that? Other gods didn't know why Loki suddenly changed his personality. But she was powerful, so what she said made sense. No one dared to compete with her. 221 faced the wind. Loki's followers went on an expedition. Hestia didn't know why Loki suddenly changed his face. With this guy's personality, he really doesn't look like a good person. No matter how righteous she was, the words of the god of justice were spoken by her, the god of mischief. It still didn't taste right. Loki didn't care about Hestia's suspicious eyes. Instead, he asked with a rather exaggerated enthusiasm, Hestia, what do you think about the title? I believe everyone will agree. As he said that, Loki narrowed his eyes and looked at the others with a threatening look. The meaning is obvious. He is ready to protect Su Mo. Although the other gods don't know why Loki has changed his personality. But it's just a title. There is no need to offend her. As long as it sounds nice. Hestia said a little shyly. She really hasn't thought about this thing in advance. How about calling it Windwalker? Thinking of what his family reported, Su Mo seemed to be very proficient in wind magic. He can even fly with wind magic. Loki couldn't help but suggest. This title is quite good for newcomers. I always feel that it sounds like a girl's name. Hestia shook her head. 387. Then it's called Phone Loki thought of another one. Fortunately, he didn't add Yushio at the end. It doesn't sound like a boy, does it? Hestia still shook her head. Loki's head was bulging with blue veins. This little dwarf is really hard to deal with. After thinking about it, she's making a proposal. Or let's call her Gale. Sort of Gale. What do you think? She is good at wind element and swordsmanship. Loki has thought of many similar titles for his own AIC, so he came up with it quickly this time. However, Hestia was too picky, and she rejected the best ones. There was only one left that she thought was pretty good. If Hestia still disagreed, she would have no choice. Fortunately, her worries did not come true. After hearing the name, Sword of the Wind, for some reason, Hestia's mind emerged with the top swordsman who passed through thousands of troops without getting a single leaf on him. Chic, handsome, happy. Most importantly, no injuries. Hestia didn't want Su Mo to get hurt, no matter how powerful he was. As a family member, Hestia didn't want him to be in danger. So, Hestia nodded immediately. Well, I want this. So, under Loki's leadership, the title of Sword of the Wind was recognized. And after the meeting of gods ended, Hestia, who was about to leave happily, was stopped by Loki. Dwarf, come here. What's wrong, Loki? Hestia was in a good mood and didn't bother to quarrel with Loki. I don't know why you suddenly want to help me. You can thank me, but don't make excessive demands. Chapter 278, the tolerant Hestia said this. I just pretended I didn't hear your request to write your name upside down before. A vein appeared again on Loki's forehead. But this time, it was her turn to hold back. Hold it back, don't start a fight. AC-chan went out on a date with that man today. If she didn't do it well, her cabbage would be in danger. With that in mind, she suppressed the thought of arguing and asked Hestia, what's going on with your Su Mo? Hestia immediately showed a wary look. My child is doing very well. There is no problem at all. She immediately shook her head, indicating that she would not reveal anything. Really, Loki showed a look of understanding. This guy Hestia must be hiding something. Needless to say, she must also know Su Mo's strength. So Loki moved his mouth closer to Hestia and whispered, I know your Su Mo's strength. It's stronger than LV7. Hestia's expression immediately stiffened when she heard this. What are you saying? I don't understand. The goddess who was not good at lying turned her head. This performance confirmed Loki's suspicion. She also understood Hestia's desire to keep it a secret. He said immediately, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. A few days ago, my AC-chan met. To gain Hestia's trust, Loki told everyone about his side of the story. So, my Su Mo goes out every day recently and is dating a girl. Hear from Loki. Hestia was stunned, feeling a little heavy on the top of her head. It's like a horse running. That is the sound of the prairie. What is a date? It's just exploration. Don't slander my AC-chan's reputation. Loki immediately corrected him, dissatisfied. In a sense, the two people's concerns are quite similar. Moreover, they're all off topic. In the Tower of Babylon, two goddesses were arguing over whose child would seduce whose child. Below the Tower of Babylon, deep in the underground city, Su Mo is cleaning up monsters with AC. They said they were cleaning up together, but in fact Su Mo was just giving guidance. The only one working as a coolie is AC. As you move forward with the strong wind, you must also watch behind you. Su Mo sat quietly aside and gave pointers to AC, who was struggling among the monsters. Yes, teacher. AC heard the wind behind her and cut off the head of a monster. The floor they're currently on, monsters are basically LV6 level types. So even with AC strength, it would be a bit dangerous to deal with it. However, under the guidance of Su Mo, her wind magic is becoming more and more proficient. It's not even just used to assist body skills and enhance speed. It can also wrap the wind around the sword, increase lethality. The power of this sword becomes more and more powerful the more it cuts. The rapier wrapped in the sound of wind greatly increases its killing range. Moreover, following Su Mo's guidance, she has also become more and more in-depth in the development of Wind Spirit Rush. Although I don't fully understand the principle of that move, Wind Pressure Sword. However, she is now quite proficient in other uses, like a butterfly fluttering in the storm. AC shuttled between monsters. Anything that attacks her will inevitably cause a stir zero. She can then use the wind to escape. Moreover, you can even use the wind to speed up your speed. Combat efficiency is greatly improved. Just 1 week, she has gone from the new state of just entering LV6 to the current state where all attributes are B. If this continues, his attribute value may even exceed A and reach S. For Ace, this speed of getting stronger is as fast as riding a rocket. Once you've experienced it, it's hard to give it up. It's a pity. Teacher, our family will go on an expedition in 3 days. After taking care of the monster, Ace said with a disappointed look on her face. A week ago, Su Mo met AC and others. The Loki Familia are trying out an expedition, mainly to eliminate some bosses guarding the gates. But now, it is the official expedition. As a member of the Loki Familia, Ace naturally had to obey orders and participate in the expedition. Not to mention, after her promotion, she became one of the strongest fighters in the Loki Familia. In a large-scale expedition, in order to reduce casualties, she must be brought along. Ace knows the companions of the family have postponed the expedition for their own sake. Now, we can no longer push it any further. Although she wants to become stronger, Ace still has feelings for the family members who brought her up. She couldn't help but watch her companions get into danger, while she only focused on getting stronger. That would be putting the cart before the horse. Therefore, she had no choice but to ask Su Mo for leave. Su Mo was not surprised when he heard Ace's words. When we first met, I talked about the expedition with Finn, the leader of the Loki Familia. So, no problem. If it's a clan mission, I'll definitely go. This is the rule that must be followed as a member of the clan. If AC only cares about getting stronger and ignores the clan, then the members who were injured in the expedition, there will definitely be complaints. This is inevitable, and AC's position will become awkward. Su Mo is naturally not so heartless that he won't even take this holiday. Immediately agreed. Anyway, he has other things to do recently. However, when she heard Su Mo say that he would take a holiday, AC's expression didn't look much better. She made a bitter face and asked timidly, "Then the teacher won't replace someone else just because I'm not here for the time being, right?" AC still remembers when she first agreed to Su Mo to be his supporter. Su Mo said, if the expedition takes too long, she will reconsider looking for someone else. Now she's worried about this. Hearing AC's words and seeing the expression on her face, Su Mo said with a bit of amusement, "Don't worry, we won't change people. After all, we have been in the same team for so long, so we still have feelings for each other." Chapter 279, This is a Lie. The real reason is that it is difficult to find an obedient tool like AC. However, Su Mo naturally wouldn't say that. After hearing his words, Ace finally breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the teacher did not dislike him. Moreover, the teacher also said that he has feelings. Does this mean he acknowledges himself? Tilting her head, Miss Sword Girl became a little happy. 222 Su Mo, you plotted against me. Upgrade to LV5 3 days later. The Loki Familia will go on an expedition. Naturally, we don't have enough time today. So, as usual, after the two searched several floors, they ended today's journey of collecting magic stones. On the way back, Su Mo noticed that the walls of the dungeon were shaking. This is the dungeon breeding new monsters. I remember there is a saying that dungeons are actually living creatures, giving birth to various monsters every day. Su Mo said, "Sounds reasonable, but the dungeon itself is not conscious, right?" Ace said, "What is common sense among adventurers? That's not necessarily the case." Su Mo shook his head. However, compared to dungeons, I am more curious about the mechanism of dungeons breeding monsters, although these monsters are not strong. However, the act of going underground is no different from creating life. Moreover, what was created was an individual that could fight immediately from birth. Su Mo didn't think that the flesh and blood on the monster came from the dungeon. Dungeons don't have that much material. Even the adventurers who died here were definitely not strong enough to be defeated. Think of the magic stone as the core of the monster. It is easy to guess that the flesh and blood itself is actually derived from the magic stone. The magic stone that can be refined into the philosopher's stone should not only provide energy, but also derive organic matter. If this is really the case, isn't that what it means? Relying on the core, it was possible for Su Mo to generate monsters through magic stones. In other words, to generate Pokémon? If only this could be done, Su Mo didn't need to continue killing monsters at all. With healing Pokémon, you can open an invincible medical center that attracts money. Only, the mechanism and gestation process of the dungeon are all internal. Obviously not easy to study. He himself is not good at this either. I don't know if I, in the world of Genshin Impact, have mastered the alchemy of creating life. Think so. Sumo shook his head and decided to put aside this idea for the time being and do his own thing first. After breaking up with AC, return home. Her own loli goddess looked at Su Mo with a proud look on her face. An expression of praise me quickly, praise me quickly. This surprised Su Mo. You actually succeeded? He doesn't care about titles or anything like that. Just didn't expect it. How could Hestia, the goddess of ruined houses, win a good title? What does it mean? You are looking down on God. Hearing what Su Mo said, Hestia crossed her arms and looked amazing. My majestic goddess Hestia personally takes action. Is there anything else that I can't handle? This is a big statement, but it's rare for a goddess to get something done, so it's appropriate to expand a little. Just thinking about Hestia's bad relationships, Su Mo could not imagine the possibility of her success. In the original work, she was helped by the goddess Freya. But now, the blind goddess Freya, who is blind and unable to recognize such a pure loving soul as her own, should not be able to help her. Apart from her, the only person who has the right to speak and has interactions with me is... Could it be that Loki helped you? Su Mo speculated. There are not many people who can influence the attitude of the gods. It is very possible that Loki heard about his name and wanted to sell him a favor. Soon, Su Mo judged the whole situation. Huh? How did you know? Hestia was a little discouraged. She also wanted Su Mo to praise her, but she didn't expect it to be seen out so quickly. However, after bowing his head, Hestia remembered something and suddenly showed a menacing expression. By the way, Loki told me before, have you been going on dates with girls these days when you go out? Hestia looked like a real wife catching a mistress. I want Su Mo to recruit from the real situation. To this, Su Mo just nodded confidently. Although it's not a date, we are indeed together with Ace these days. Here's Su Mo's answer. Hestia puffed out her cheeks. What's so good about AC? Is she more beautiful or cuter than me? From the perspective of ordinary people, perhaps AC is more beautiful. Su Mo answered honestly. But on my side, I think Hestia is cuter. Hestia felt happy when she heard Su Mo say this. The expression on his face also relaxed. But he didn't give up. Then Su Mo can take me there in the future, she suggested. Su Mo expressed opposition to this. If you bring AC, you can help me attract monsters and pick up magic stones for me. But what can you do if you take Hestia with you? It is easier for my own house-breaking goddess to stay at home. Well, after hearing what Su Mo said, Hestia had no way to argue. He seems to be a waste. I can cheer for you, Su Mo. I can't even say such words. However, she didn't want to see Su Mo get too close to other girls. The goddess' desire for exclusivity is very strong. I saw the lowly goddess being awkward. Su Mo found it a little funny. Someone is jealous, but I won't say who it is, he said teasingly. Hestia immediately blushed. I'm not jealous. I'm just worried about you, Su Mo. Don't be fooled by the girls outside. They are all bad people. Yes, that's right. She was just worried about Su Mo. Girls outside the clan are too dangerous, so I have to find girls within the clan. The fat water does not flow to outsiders' fields. As for the fact that she is the only girl in the family, there is no other way. Chapter 280, I heard this map, cannon fired by Hestia. Su Mo looked out the door with a strange look. According to you, Hestia, even the goddess Hephaestus, is a bad person? He asked deliberately. Hestia immediately took the bait. Of course, even Hephaestus can't be trusted. Except for me, the goddesses are all tigresses. Hestia worked hard to discredit the goddess. I want to persuade Su Mo not to have illusions about other goddesses. This time, a familiar voice came from the door. Hestia, that was the voice of Hephaestus, the goddess of forging. Hestia suddenly stiffened. Turning around, he saw Hephaestus with a completely black face. Hestia suddenly turned her head sadly and looked at Su Mo. Su Mo, you are plotting against me. But at this time, Hephaestus had no intention of letting her continue. I heard that your child was promoted to LV2. I originally planned to apologize for not trusting you last time. I didn't expect that I would hear such words. The forging goddess had a kind smile on her face. Is Hephaestus a bad person or a tigress? Humph! The aura of the forging goddess is very strong. Hephaestus, please listen to my explanation. I didn't mean it. Hestia grabbed the forge goddess' clothes. Want to quibble? The forging goddess sneered. Don't worry, I'm not angry. Huh? Really? Naive Hestia believed it. Then I heard my best friend say this. Don't worry, I'm not angry. So, if I just repeat what Hestia said to the other goddesses, there shouldn't be any consequences, right? With that said, Hephaestus turned and left. Hestia immediately hugged her thighs. No, Hephaestus, spare your life. I really didn't mean it. You are my best friend. You can't do this. I saw my own loli goddess doing her own thing. Su Mo not only didn't feel bad, but also wanted to get the melon seeds on the bench. Unfortunately, Hephaestus was too soft-hearted. After scaring Hestia, not really prepared to do that. After the two goddesses communicated for a while, Hephaestus explained her purpose. Because I saw Hestia seriously establishing the Familia. And I heard the news that the family members really arrived at LV2 to apologize for the previous distrust. And in order to bless Hestia, he specially sent a high-quality armor. Although to Su Mo, these armors were of little use. But after all, it was the other party's thoughtfulness. So naturally, I am very grateful. Hephaestus is a good person. After the forging goddess left, Su Mo sighed. Yes, she has always taken care of me. Hestia nodded in approval. If that's the case, then you still say bad things about her? Su Mo said a little funny. This is not the same thing. Besides, why did I think Hephaestus would be here? Hestia just said it casually. In fact, she still respected Hephaestus. However, respect is respect and precaution is precaution. But you can't let other goddesses poach you. Seeing Hestia's tough mouth, Su Mo shook his head, thinking of what she had planned to do in the morning. By the way, Hestia, help me level up? My current experience points should be enough to reach LV5. 223. The approach of the Divine Moon Festival. Hestia's head was full of questions. Didn't you just upgrade to LV4 yesterday? Fortunately, she had already accepted that the children of her family were extraordinary. But he was still shocked by Su Mo's speed. It's only been a month. I have been promoted to LV4, and I can still be promoted? LV5, that is a proper first-line adventurer. Just a little adventure. Su Mo looked humble. A little bit. Hestia didn't know how to complain. However, since Su Mo felt it was inconvenient to say it, she did not continue to ask. In terms of doting on family members, Hestia can be said to be the best in all Oreo. Sitting on Su Mo's back, Hestia bit her fingertips. After manipulating the favor behind Su Mo's back, Hestia saw the magical series of numbers again. All ability value data overflowed. Other than that, there are just a bunch of skills and magic that cannot be exposed at all. It has indeed reached the conditions for upgrade. Hestia nodded. The development ability this time is the same as last time. Which one are you going to choose? When promoted to LV4, Su Mo chose Mystery. Mysterious. In the wrong world, it is a must-have ability for the boss. Allows adventurers to use the knowledge and power of gods. According to legend, the sage who refined the philosopher's stone possesses mysterious skills. Although it doesn't mean much to Su Mo, who has already mastered the power. After all, he directly controls the power of the gods. However, this skill is a good cover. It allows Su Mo to reasonably use various powers from gods. You know, even if Hestia can keep a secret, her personality is not good at lying. And with mysterious skills, many situations can be explained. This time, Su Mo thought about the development ability when he was promoted to LV5. The previous skills still don't make much sense. But if you have to say it, help me choose Hunter. The Hunter skill is a development ability that adventurers generally have. When facing monsters, it can provide a certain degree of bonus. It can be said to be a wide range of restraint skills. For ordinary adventurers, it will be easier to obtain this skill in dungeons. Although Su Mo doesn't need to care about this. But after all, it is a skill that restrains attributes. And it is a passive ability under normal conditions. More or less always makes a difference. Moreover, with the convergence of Su Mo's experiences from different worlds. The speed of Hunter skill upgrade may be faster than that of Su Mo himself. And if this development ability can reach S level, the bonuses it provides are very effective, at least for divine beasts. As for the gods, the effect will probably not be great. Chapter 281, but it won't be ignored. In short, the future is promising. Soon, Hestia upgraded, because the upgrade itself is based on a certain proportional coefficient. Even with Su Mo's current strength, he can feel the improvement of his body in all aspects. Although not much, it is stable. 10 seconds later. Hestia? Su Mo asked in confusion. Although the upgrade has been completed, Hestia has no intention of getting off his back. After hearing Su Mo's question, Hestia came up with a silly smile. Stick the white slime on Su Mo's back. Su Mo, I suddenly remembered something. In more than half a month, it will be the God Moon Festival, the lowly goddess said in a coquettish tone, like a child asking for candy. The God Moon Festival is a festival that existed before the gods came. The object of the sacrifice is Artemis, the moon god. There is also a custom in Oreo to hold a special festival on this day. Hearing Hestia say this, Su Mo's heart moved. The arrival of the God Moon Festival. It means that the moon god Artemis incident is about to begin. The timeline in the original book is very vague, and we only know that it is not far from now. Unexpectedly, it came unexpectedly soon. This means that after Artemis came back to see Hestia, he should have gone to defeat the monster Andares. In the original book, when the God Moon Festival was held, Artemis had been swallowed by Andares. At that time, many gods also knew about Artemis. In other words, Artemis's defeat should have been some time before the God Moon Festival. So, if you want to save this goddess and seek the power of the moon god as a reward, it will happen within half a month. It seems that the speed of collecting the Philosopher's Stone must be accelerated. Thinking of this, Hestia on his back saw that he didn't say anything. She immediately hugged his neck. Su Mo. She started to act like a spoiled child again. What's wrong with the God Moon Festival? Hestia, do you have any snacks you particularly want to eat? Su Mo sorted out his thoughts and asked in confusion. During the God Moon Festival, because it was a festival, there would be more snack shops unexpectedly. There are indeed delicious ones I want to try. Hestia nodded first, then immediately shook her head. But don't talk like I only know how to eat. I want to ask you out to play. Date. Hestia finally revealed her true thoughts. Although she also craves snacks, she wants to go out with Su Mo for a rare festival. So that's the case. Hearing this, Su Mo said with a smile, Is it necessary to say this kind of thing half a month in advance? Humph! Who knows if you will be snatched away by other vixens by then? Hestia said with a pout. For example, AC Warren, Aegina, and other girls. The Blue Ribbon Goddess was jealous, as always. Don't worry, since it is Hestia's request, there is no reason to refuse. Su Mo nodded. Agree to Hestia's invitation. The Blue Ribbon Goddess immediately smiled. This child is too naive. I didn't expect that the Time Management Master can operate on 3 lines. But fortunately, with Su Mo's personality, he would not do such a thing. With his style, he would not beat around the bush but would be open and above board. Because the God Moon Festival is approaching, Su Mo has been brushing magic stones for a longer time these days. Unfortunately, after brushing for 3 days, AC, the best tool person, is going to participate in the clan expedition. So he has no tool person to use for the time being. He can only brush monsters by himself. The efficiency is temporarily lower. However, at this speed, plus the Philosopher's Stone extracted by his own magic power, it's almost enough. So Su Mo is not in a hurry. The first day after the Tool Man AIC left. Afternoon. On the 10th floor of the underground floor. Su Mo is facing the goblin in front of him with a serious face. This is an opponent he hasn't dealt with for a long time. The goblin wielding a wooden stick has the same fighting power as a child. However, the goblin in front of him is obviously much stronger, and his fighting power is definitely not as good as that of an ordinary adult. Facing an opponent of this level, even Su Mo couldn't help but show a serious expression. Be prepared. The ferocious goblin wielded a stone hammer. It smashed towards Su Mo. Su Mo stepped back, avoided the power range of the giant hammer. His body was less than 1 centimeter away from the trajectory of the giant hammer. If it were seen by outsiders, this dodge must have been very dangerous. And Su Mo, who avoided this attack, did not draw his weapon. Instead, he stared at the sturdy goblin in front of him seriously. The goblin felt provoked. He rushed forward again. He wanted to use his might to kill the adventurer in front of him. However, there was no wind and no one was attacking. The whole body of the angry goblin suddenly broke into pieces. Death came very abruptly. The body of the monster quickly dissipated, leaving behind a small magic stone. Su Mo, who witnessed this scene, showed a satisfied smile. It seems that the death line of ordinary life is not difficult to control. The reason why he did not attack in other ways just now was that he was practicing the modified death eyes. The skills of the earthly world can become more sophisticated through continuous use. Good money Zhao. So, in addition to brushing magic stones every day, Su Mo would come to the shallow layer and try to stare the monster to death with his eyes. Probably because of his own strength. The proficiency of this skill improved very quickly. It took less than half a day. The death line of ordinary LV1 monsters is not difficult to break. Continue to practice. This skill should be able to improve quickly. Just when Su Mo was about to find the next monster, he heard the sound of humans cursing and beating something. They actually came to such a remote place. Is it another old hand who is trying to harm the newbie? Su Mo guessed it immediately. It is basically difficult to have witnesses when someone kills someone in the dungeon. Chapter 282. So there are often veteran adventurers who harm newbies. The better ones try to make money. The worse ones kill people. This kind of thing is common in places with many shallow adventurers. They usually choose remote places. And Su Mo, because of practicing the mystic eyes of death perception, he also deliberately chooses remote places. So he has seen similar incidents several times. For this kind of thing, he is not a saint, but he will not pretend not to see it. If it is a person who deserves to be rescued, he does not mind lending a hand. So, after a pause, Su Mo immediately walked towards the place where the sound came from. 224 the man who frightened both sides on the 10th floor of the dungeon, in a remote corner. 3 sturdy adventurers surrounded a petite figure and kept kicking it. Lily Luca, who was stepped on the stomach by Dolly directly, felt a little nauseous because of the severe pain in her abdomen. But she did not vomit anything. At this time, the next attack came. Bang! He kicked her with a powerful kick and knocked her against the wall behind. Lily Luca made a painful sound. She felt as if she had broken a bone. But the adventurer in front of her had no intention of letting her go. Hey, you stubborn guy, it's time to tell the truth, right? A companion of Lily Luca's clan said without hiding his destination. Last time you lied to me that you had no money, but this time I saw that you have a magic sword in your hand, right? You can afford such a good thing. It seems that you have gained a lot. How about it? Can't you share it with my clan companion? The magic sword he mentioned. There is no doubt that it is no longer on Lily Luca. He put it on his waist and took it for himself. However, he was not satisfied with just this. He felt that this little man should have more money. And facing the adventurer's question, Lily Luca endured the pain in her body and shook her head firmly. No more. I spent all my money on the magic sword. Now I don't have a cent left. Are you so stubborn? The other party showed a regretful look. Being too greedy for money is not a good thing. It's meaningless to have a life to take, but no life to spend it. He waved the shining blade and approached Lily Luca. He wanted to make a final threat. Seeing the blade and feeling the breath of death, Lily Luca hesitated. And the sturdy adventurer did not miss this expression. His eyes lit up. Sure enough, 387, I knew you still had money. Hurry up and confess. As he said, he stepped on the head of the little girl, who was only 1 meter tall, and then crushed it down hard. The head is the most important organ of humans. The same is true for the dwarfs. Even if the skull itself is hard enough, the adventurer's strength is extraordinary. Feeling that the head seemed to be splitting, Lily Luca finally gave in. I said, all my money is in. The other adventurers fell silent, with greed flashing in their eyes. just as she was about to reveal the location of her own treasury. A strange voice suddenly came from the back. "You seem to be discussing some interesting topics. Do you mind adding me?" The three adventurers immediately turned around, showing a look of shock and anger. Lily Luca also had a glimmer of hope in her heart. If someone could save her in this situation. However, after seeing the face of the person who came clearly, the hope in her eyes immediately dissipated. Actually, it was this person? "It's over." On Sumoisida. As soon as he walked in, he heard the voices of several adventurers without concealment. Probably because they thought there must be no one nearby. And even if there was someone, they would not dare to wade into the muddy water. These adventurers did not seem to restrain their actions at all, and they did not hide their plans at all. So soon, Su Mo understood the whole story. However, he did not immediately attack the three adventurers. Just stood up. The three adventurers who were caught. Turning back, they saw that only one person broke in unexpectedly. And it was an adventurer who did not carry, AFTA, weapons and protective gear. They immediately breathed a sigh of relief. They looked at each other, and their eyes became fierce. "Hey, there are some things that you can't ask about. Didn't your companions in your clan teach you the rules?" The sturdy adventurer in the lead was not impulsive. Instead, he asked tentatively. To this, Su Mo gave an honest answer. "My clan is only me, and it is a newly established clan. So, I don't understand the unspoken rules between adventurers." He was telling the truth. He became stronger directly after awakening the Golden Finger, and he really didn't join the circle of adventurers. Naturally, he didn't know what the unspoken rules were. However, to the three adventurers, these words have another meaning. There is only one person in the clan, which means that no one can cause trouble even if he is killed. Not understanding the rules between adventurers means that the other party doesn't have any other friends. It is very likely that he is the type who can reach the 10th floor by himself. This kind of adventurer happens to be the easiest type to bully. So, after all this time, it turns out to be a novice. I was shocked. The sturdy adventurer in the lead resumed his previous cursing posture. Then, he ordered the two people around him, "You go and intercept him. Since we have robbed one anyway, why not kill him along the way?" Although he doesn't often attack other adventurers. But this kind of adventurer who has no companions or friends and has no worries even if he is killed. It's a waste not to kill him. Not to mention, this guy has heard news that he shouldn't have heard. This made them want to kill him. Therefore, they decided to treat Lily Luca the same way. First, scrape off the oil and water on the young adventurer in front of them. Su Mo naturally would not ignore their murderous intentions. So he sighed. "I wanted to find out some information, but it seems that interrogation is faster." "What are you talking about, you guy?" The leading adventurer felt a little uneasy. However, due to his personality, this uneasiness immediately turned into anger. Just as he drew his weapon and subconsciously wanted to deal with the young man in front of him. Bang! A dull sound was heard. All three adventurers fell to the ground. A lot of dust was raised. Chapter 283 Click. Unparalleled gravity was suddenly exerted on them. They can't get up at all. Even when he was lying down, his bones began to crack. Wah! Bones! My bones are cracked. The adventurers, who were not hardcore in the first place, let out howls of tears. They immediately realized that they had mentioned iron plates. "Sir, please spare my life. I never dare to do it again. This girl is given to you." In order to survive, they begged for mercy. In response, Su Mo gave them a slightly disgusted look. "Shut up." The boy incarnation of the power, war god of the East from Velislana activates. Although the boy's incarnation can bestow protection on his followers, but its essential ability is actually to command and protect humans. In other words, when using this incarnation, Su Mo's words will be like gods, forcing humans to obey. Su Mo rarely used this ability. However, in some cases, this ability is still quite useful. For example, now, here's Su Mo's order. It's like being covered by someone's mouth. The three adventurers immediately shut their mouths and never said a word again. Judging from their frightened eyes, that was definitely not their intention. At this time, Su Mo focused his attention on the victim who was beaten by the three men. This is the second time we have met." He recognized the girl in front of him as an important supporting character in the original novel. However, Su Mo did not give her any preferential treatment. The attitude is also very common. Here is greeting. The three adventurers gave bad looks. Could it be that this adult has something to do with Liluka? However, what they don't know is, Liluka's own mood was not much better than that of the adventurers who were suppressed on the ground. She was also afraid of Su Mo in front of her. If other adventurers come, Liluka will definitely be very happy, and immediately begged him to be rescued. However, only for Su Mo, the adventurer, she did not dare to make this request. Liluka still remembered that not long ago, she had her eyes on Su Mo, an adventurer. Then soon he saw that he had malicious intentions. The other party seems to have skills such as mind reading. To Su Mo, her disguise and acting skills were useless. Even the transformation skills she was proud of didn't seem to work. Therefore, she always kept a distance from Su Mo and wished she could never see him again. But I never thought that one day I would encounter a situation like this. After a long moment of silence, Liluka responded with a forced smile. "Hello, I didn't expect you to still remember me. There are not many people who dare to show ill intentions towards my wallet. Of course I will remember you," Su Mo said with a smile. Liluka's expression completely stiffened. Just out of danger, she felt like she was about to fall into another level of danger. "So, tell me exactly what is going on now," Su Mo ordered her. Su Mo did not use the power of the boy's incarnation. However, Liluka, who knew that he might be able to read minds, didn't take any chances. "Immediately tell the story of what happened to you." After listening, Su Mo ordered the three adventurers to say it again. Both sides of the argument are compatible for the time being. In other words, you saw Liluka had money, so she came here specifically to seek wealth and death. Is it just that simple? After confirming the facts, Su Mo was a little surprised. Why is it so simple to seek wealth and kill people? Liluka roared in her heart, but didn't dare to say it out loud. At this time, Su Mo saw her thoughts. He gave her a slightly thoughtful look. "I thought that the adventurers you had tricked came to seek revenge from you, so I was still thinking about whether to help you or not." As soon as these words came out, Liluka was completely stunned. Su Mo would not give her preferential treatment just because she was a girl. In fact, if the person causing trouble is the person she tricked in the first place. For this revenge, Su Mo would not interfere. 225 Dualism of Good and Evil. Toolman number 2, after hearing Su Mo's words, Liluka lowered her head. When faced with someone who can clearly see the sin in your heart, it is useless to make excuses, although not to the point of killing. However, Liluka did deceive others for money. This is an undeniable fact. Therefore, she had no room to defend herself. "As you can see, I'm a thief and a liar," Liluka said in a self-deprecating tone. "I am a weak person. I have defrauded so many people of their money. I don't deserve any sympathy at all. With this kind of me, I won't complain even if my hands and feet are amputated, or even if I'm executed. So please, just do it." This is not a misfortune. Liluka said that sincerely. How many times has she wanted to commit suicide so far? There are countless such things. It's just that every time she wants to commit suicide in despair. The last bit of reluctance in her heart and her attachment to life stopped her from doing anything. She was desperate to hide her inner thoughts and live a miserable life. Until now, facing Su Mo in front of her. Because she misunderstood that Su Mo could read minds, she mistakenly thought that she had no defense against him. This made Liluka face her own heart for the first time in a long time, like a believer confessing to a priest. Facing her true heart, Liluka gave up struggling. She wanted to end it all, which might make her feel much better. Originally, "I shouldn't live in this world. Please do it," Liluka said in a relieved tone. In the beginning, she was not a thief or a liar. When she was about 10 years old, her parents died and she became an orphan, but she did not fall. Although she was young, she was diligent. She was willing to be a supporter of her fellow adventurers in her clan in exchange for a little living expenses. Her requirements were not high, as long as she had enough to eat. However, even this little request, she was not able to meet it. She became a supporter, picking up fallen magic stones as little as possible without causing trouble to others. Even when the adventurers and the family saw her in danger, they did not save her at all. Lilyluka did not complain at all, but bandaged her wounds silently. The result of hard work. When the magic stones were finally divided, she was criticized by others for not being useful. So they refused to pay her even a little reward. The young Lilyluka regarded it as her own fault. She lived on trash cans and wild fruits and gradually improved herself. She did everything she should do before the adventurers said hello. She would help with any chores. Chapter 284, he even learned to deal with small monsters on his own. Eventually, he was trained to the point where even adventurers would find it difficult to find fault. She thought she would get paid this way. At this time, the adventurers showed another face. Not only did she not pay for the labor, she also slandered Lilyluka as a thief, said that she stole the magic stone in advance, so there was no need to give her any money. At this time, Lilyluka finally saw clearly that from the very beginning, these people just wanted to use her for free. But it's too late now. With her reputation as a thief, she could not be a supporter for the adventurers within the family. Instead, he serves as a supporter for adventurers outside the family. You will also be alerted. Not to mention, there are a lot of bad people among adventurers. There were many adventurers who exploited her just like the adventurers in the clan. Even if there are some people who are not bad. As the team formed for a long time, adventurers from the family would come to blackmail her and beat and kick her. In the end, the thief's reputation spread far and wide. Occasionally, people with a sense of justice will come to stop it. But once I heard that Lilyluka was a thief, those people will change their attitudes one after another. He cast a disgusted look at Lilyluka. In Orario, thieves who get something for nothing are very disgusted. Here, the sky and the sky are not responding, and the earth are not functioning properly. No one inside or outside the family can be relied upon. Lilyluka, who couldn't find any food due to heavy rain, finally fell into a state of near death due to hunger. Before she died, her desire to survive prompted her to make up her mind. Since you have to bear the reputation of a thief, no matter what, why should I die? Instead of actually living as a thief? It doesn't make any difference anyway, right? With this idea in mind, she stole a piece of bread from the house of the adventurer she hated most. Survive this. From then on, his career as a thief began. During the period when she did nothing and could be called a good child, she suffered humiliation, was called a thief, and even almost starved to death. And after she finally became a real thief, he gained the qualification to survive but also lost his dignity. I look back on my life. Lilyluka felt that people like herself probably shouldn't have survived in the first place. Therefore, after seeing Sumo's appearance and his attitude towards himself, Lilyluka also accepted her fate. Seeing her attitude, Sumo was a little surprised. I haven't said anything yet. Why are you so depressed? Why seek death? He asked curiously. People like me don't have any qualifications to live, right? Lilyluka, who had broken the jar, raised her head and looked at Sumo. I have tricked countless adventurers and used their kindness to defraud them of money. As far as results go, there's really no difference between me and a couple of the guys over there. Anyway, I think it's not unjust for them to die, and I guess the same goes for me. She knew several members of her family very clearly. Those are scum who don't regret dying. Looking back on myself, it doesn't seem to be much better. As a thief and liar, aren't you also defrauding money? Hearing her words, Sumo shook his head. You seem to have made a mistake. I'm not a messenger of justice, and I have no intention of judging anything. So, I can only judge based on my own position as to who deserves to die and who doesn't. For example, you are just targeting my money, and you haven't dared to take action yet, so you can let it go for the time being. These guys are targeting my life, so their fate is already doomed. The words just fell. Bang! The huge gravity pressed on the three adventurers, directly pressing a bottomless black hole out of the ground. A mere LV-1 level adventurer could not resist the pressure and was instantly crushed by gravity. The corpses probably fell to the next floor. Seeing these people die, Lilyluka was not afraid, but showed an expression of pleasure. In her opinion, no matter how much she deserves to die, these people are definitely more hateful than her. And after dealing with these scumbags, Su Mo looked at Lil Luca. As for you, you're still very different from those guys. People can be as humble as dust, but they cannot be twisted like maggots. The struggle between good and evil is the eternal theme of human nature. In an environment like yours, the choices you make are just choices that normal people would make. At least in you, good and evil are still fighting. This is the way of man. Zero asks for flowers is zero, but if it rots to the level of those guys just now, and they are evil but don't know it at all, then they are completely hopeless. Su Mo's words were not based on his own opinions. Rather, it is an expression of feelings based on the Zoroastrian values of the dualism of good and evil. He really has no extra love for Lil Luca, but there is no additional disgust. Lil Luca is indeed not a saint, nor is she as pure as Ace or Hestia. She's just an ordinary little girl. In a bad situation, she made a normal compromise in order to survive. Although she also carries the sins, her heart also yearns for light. In her, at least there is still a certain degree of human light. As for the three adventurers before, they have completely degenerated into rotten dregs. They are evil but don't know it. Even Kodomine Kirii would be ashamed of such evil. Although he looks like a small hoodlum, it seems to be only a small evil. However, most of the evil in the world is often caused by the behavior of these small hoodlums. If it is based on the perspective of Mitra, the god of light and contract in Zoroastrianism. Obviously, Lily Luca belongs to the category of human beings who are still fighting fiercely and have not yet distinguished between good and evil. Obviously, there is still a possibility to look forward to in the future. And the three adventurers have become accomplices of Ungra Mainyu without knowing it. The core doctrine of Zoroastrianism is to punish evil and encourage good. In other words, only people like those three adventurers are the ones who should be punished. Hearing Su Mo's words, Lily Luca couldn't help but widen her eyes. Because of Su Mo's previous stern attitude, she thought she would be punished too. But she didn't expect that in the eyes of the other party, she was actually still an ordinary person. Not one of those damn bad guys. Uncontrollably, a warm current surged in Lily Luca's heart. This is the joy of being recognized by others. It's not like other times when I was recognized for my disguise. Rather, it's the joy that comes naturally when I am recognized for who I am. Lily Luca, who has always been alone, finally tasted the taste of being understood by others. Seeing Lily Luca's mixed expression, Su Mo picked up the red-haired loli. Then, he used the vitality of the sun to heal her serious injuries. After helping her recover, Su Mo suddenly asked, thinking of something, "By the way, speaking of which, is your clan's wine very expensive?" I don't know why Su Mo suddenly asked this. Lily Luca was a little stunned and nodded after a pause. Yes, the worst wine also sells for 60,000 Ferris, and it is in short supply. Is that so? Su Mo nodded. Thinking of the power of the god of wine he had obtained, he had a small plan in his mind. So he spoke again, saying something that seemed to be a way of repaying a favor. Anyway, I saved your life, right? Chapter 285 in return. Do you want to follow me and do something? He invited her. He still had no special preference for Lily Luca, but Su Mo realized her value. If she was guided well, he could not only pull her out of the quagmire, it would also greatly shorten the time for him to accumulate the Philosopher's Stone. Kill 3 birds with 1 stone? Why not? He has a unique vision. After the number 1 tool man, AIC, finally found another child with great potential as a tool man. It's really a cause for celebration. 226 This boiled water has a taste. Hearing Su Mo's words, Lily Luca was full of question marks. It was not easy to be recognized. Not only was her life saved, Lily Luca was naturally very grateful to Su Mo. Although she didn't understand Su Mo's previous words, she was shocked. In short, the impression of Su Mo in her mind at present is basically a high respect value. Although they are not life mentors because of the lack of contact, they are not far from each other. In this case, Su Mo suddenly spoke in jargon. It made her feel a little disconnected. Seeing Lily Luca in a daze, Su Mo thought she didn't understand, so he explained in detail. Aren't you short of money now? I just happen to have a plan to make money, and I can help you by the way. Do you want to try it? A plan to make money? Lily Luca realized that Su Mo in front of her seemed to be completely different from the justice partner she imagined. But it was also true that the other party had made it clear before that he was definitely not a justice partner. It was just that she felt a little strange to suddenly talk about such a practical topic. Fortunately, she had experienced ups and downs since childhood, and she was very familiar with such money matters. 387 so, she asked without too many questions. What do you mean? Let's talk somewhere else for the time being. Sumo looked around, invited Lily Luca. Okay, Lily Luca nodded. She looked at the deep hole in the ground with some distress. She didn't feel sorry for those scumbags, but she felt sorry for the magic sword she had just bought. It fell directly into the pit and was probably broken long ago. But Sumo saved her life, so this matter was naturally not worth talking about. Her heart was bleeding slightly, and she followed Sumo and walked out of the underground city. After arriving at a quiet cafe, after Sumo introduced himself, he got to the point. According to you, you are saving money now, right? Yes, Lord Sumo. Facing Sumo, who can read minds, there is no need to hide. Lily Luca, who sat down and made such a judgment, said, I want to save enough money to leave the clan. The Dionysus clan where Lily Luca belongs. The name sounds similar to Sumo. His name is Soma, the god of wine in ancient Indian mythology. This god of wine is addicted to brewing all day long, and he gave the divine wine he brewed as a reward to adventurers and established a ranking system. Divine wine itself is addictive. Ordinary adventurers simply cannot resist it. Therefore, in order to get a little bit of divine wine, adventurers of the Dionysus clan have to earn a lot of money to give to the gods in exchange for the qualification to obtain wine. Therefore, it also caused the adventurers of the Dionysus clan to be very obsessed with money. What Lily Luca encountered before was just the worst part of the scum. There are many other adventurers who fight in the dungeon all day for that little divine wine. Lily Luca's parents also seem to have died because of this. In such a clan, adventurers can only fight for money like mad dogs. In the end, they get a drop of wine. If this goes on, there is no future. Money will be taken away, and savings will turn into wine. Once the legal interest obtained each month is not enough, they will be punished. It's even worse than being a slave. Moreover, in this mental state, it is easy to die in the dungeon. Lily Luca, who saw this clearly, did not want to continue. Leaving this clan was her only thought. Even if she lost the favor, it didn't matter. Hearing her statement, Sumo nodded. This is easy. As long as you agree to my employment, I can pay you enough money to quit the group after the matter is completed. How about it? Sumo threw out the bait lightly. What? Lily Luca showed a surprised expression. It is a shame for the clan that the family wants to quit the group. Because of this, the withdrawal fee is also relatively high. However, Lily Luca, who saw the other party's extraordinary combat power, did not doubt that Sumo could do this. But why do you help me so much? She asked with red eyes and was very moved. She had seen people helping others when they saw injustice, but she had never seen anyone who could do it to this extent. Although the withdrawal fee is affordable for high-level adventurers, it is also worth a lot. Spending so much money to help a thief. This is something she has never seen before. Hearing Lily Luca's words, Sumo shook his head. Don't get me wrong. I'm not helping you. We just need each other. This plan requires you. Hearing this, Lily Luca was a little confused. Must it be me? She didn't know what special talents she had. If she had to say, the ability to transform is indeed very useful. But this alone is not worth it. Looking at her in confusion, Sumo did not explain directly, but pushed the glass of boiled water he had just ordered to Lily Luca. Take a sip and try it. He said so, although she didn't know what it meant. Lily Luca still picked up the glass obediently. Then, when she smelled the taste of boiled water, she was suddenly stunned. Why is this boiled water tasteless? No, why does this boiled water smell like wine? When the waiter brought it over before, it was still colorless and tasteless ordinary cold water. However, the moment she picked up the glass, the liquid in the glass turned into a fragrant wine. Moreover, this fragrance is even stronger than the divine wine circulated within the clan. It feels more attractive to Lily Luca than the divine wine. Originally, It was difficult for ordinary adventurers to resist this wine. However, because of the addictiveness of her clan's divine wine, Lily Luca was inexplicably resistant to it. Don't worry, this is different from your clan's wine. You won't get drunk after drinking a pot, Su Mo introduced at the right time. That cup of wine was transformed by him using the power of Dionysus, the god of wine. Although the skills and craftsmanship may not be as good as the divine wine of Lililuca's clan, but because of the ability to use divine power, whether it is taste or effect, it is several times more attractive than that divine wine zero. Hearing Su Mo's words, out of trust in him, Chapter 286 Lily Luca gritted her teeth and drank it all. But she didn't expect that the wine was unexpectedly clear and sweet. After drinking it, she didn't feel dizzy like drinking divine wine. She even felt unusually sober, and her brain was refreshed. After tasting it, the aftertaste was endless, although it made people want to have another cup. But this was just a normal desire to taste the beauty again. It was not the kind of addiction that you couldn't live without. Lord Su Mo, what is this? Lily Luca showed an amazed expression. It was even better than the wine brewed by the gods of her own clan. Moreover, there were no bad side effects at all. It was simply amazing. What do you think the price of this wine can be sold by your clan? Su Mo asked with a smile. After thinking about it, Lily Luca said, in terms of quality, it is even far better than the works circulated within our clan. Even if it is priced at 1 million, there will definitely be people who buy it. As she said that, she understood what Su Mo meant. Do you want our clan to help sell this wine? She couldn't help but feel a little confused. If it's such a good wine, you can sell it yourself. Why do you need our clan? You should also know that the members of our clan are all scum, and there will definitely be corruption. When it comes to blackening her own clan, Lily Luca is merciless. What she said was also true, but Su Mo didn't change his mind. Scum is good. Scum doesn't have to worry about the strength when they take action, said this, causing the other party to look surprised. Su Mo changed his statement. Ahem. What I mean is that a bad system turns people into ghosts, and a good system turns ghosts into people. Don't worry about this. The reason why we need your clan to sell is because of your clan's reputation. Because of the divine wine, the reputation of their clan 3.0 is quite loud among alcoholics. It's a pity that all their wine is brewed by the gods, and other members can't help, so the output is extremely low. Because of this, the main business of the clan is to explore the dungeon, not to sell wine. The other party's brand is exactly what Su Mo is interested in. After all, no matter how good the wine is, it will take several months to make it famous. He doesn't plan to wait that long. And Lily Luca's worries are nothing to him. Even if those adventurers are as cunning as ghosts, they can't stand the 100 ways to cut leaks that Su Mo has learned from the various beatings of society before crossing. How can adventurers of medieval civilization beat capitalists in modern society? Through the channels of the Dionysus clan, the sales network is opened. Su Mo has 99 ways to get rich. You can easily make a lot of money. And with this money, you can directly exchange magic stones. As long as the operation is good, it can be equal to the income from exploring the depths of the dungeon, or even more. In that case, it would only take a few days to collect enough Philosopher's Stones. 227. I made dumplings just for this little vinegar. Use fame. After hearing Su Mo's plan, Lily Luca understood what he meant. The reputation of the Dionysus clan is second to none among the famous wines in Oreo, although the output is not high. But over the years, there are also stable sales channels. If these 2 points are used to promote new wines like Su Mo, not only can it have a higher price from the beginning, it can also be quickly accepted by others. In this way, it can indeed expand smoothly. However, there is another problem here. Lord Su Mo, if you ask me for this kind of thing, I may not be able to bring you the results you want. Although she was very moved by Su Mo's words. But Lily Luca did not want to let Su Mo's plan fail because of her own reasons. My status in the clan is very low. Even if I discuss this with them, they won't believe it. If you really have this plan, it's better to contact our clan leader directly. Although our clan leader, Sunny's, is a scumbag. But only he has the ability to accept your request immediately and lead the whole group to sell wine. After struggling with her thoughts for more than 10 seconds, Lily Luca said very honestly, her status in the clan is at the bottom, and she is basically the target of bullying. She has encountered things like this countless times. So, after hearing Sumo's plan, 05, she immediately realized that she was not an important part of it. Sumo only needs a middleman. It doesn't matter who this middleman is. Compared with herself, choosing someone else as the middleman. For example, a clan leader like Sunny's. Only then can Sumo bring more benefits. For Sumo, who saved her life and recognized her, she didn't want to hide this. Even if Sumo proposed that he could pay enough to let her leave the clan, she didn't want to harm Sumo because of this. But after hearing Lily Luca's slightly inferior words, Sumo didn't plan to change his mind. I could choose anyone as the middleman. Why can't I choose you? Even if you have a low status in the clan, that's a thing of the past. Now you are the only spokesperson I recognize. They will definitely be very excited about the benefits from the sales of these wines. So, not only will they not bully you anymore, they will even kowtow to you to apologize. Sumo is very confident about this. The world is prosperous, and everyone is here for profit. The world is full of hustle and bustle, all for the benefit of others. If we talk about the past, it was because of age, ability, and easy-to-bully factors. Lily Luca would be oppressed within the family members. So now, Lily Luca, who has mastered the new supply channel of divine wine, is an existence that those adventurers cannot afford to offend, although there is no increase in strength. However, through Sumo's approval, she had control over supply. And as a person with power, you will naturally have privileges. As long as the adventurers from the Dionysus Familia want to make money from the wine provided by Lily Luca, they will never continue to bully her. It's even possible to just kneel down and apologize. In the Bacchus family, a family that would risk everything for the sake of the wine, the probability of this happening is almost 100%. Therefore, Sumo is not worried that Leluca's status will affect his income, for the quantity and quality of wine he offers. Who the middleman is has no bearing at all. But Leluca wanted to say something else. No matter how we discuss it, if we are talking to Sanis, the leader of the Dionysus Familia, it must be much better than this useless guy like her, right? However, Sumo interrupted her. No need to say anything more. I have made up my mind. Sumo showed no doubt and refused her offer. Then, besides, I made the dumplings just because of this jealousy. She said something that Lil Luca couldn't understand, even though I didn't understand what was said behind it. However, Lily Luca was well aware of Sumo's special care. The corners of her eyes turned red again, and she felt extremely moved in her heart. Unexpectedly, the person he once swore he would stay away from, but he became his biggest benefactor. Not only did he save his own life, he also saved her life. For this kindness, Lil Lucas simply had no way to repay her. Words of thanks seemed too frivolous. And seeing Lil Lucas' expression, Chapter 287 Sumo said, "No need to say more words of thanks, just take care of the rest." Lil Luca nodded heavily, faced with Sumo's kindness and this opportunity to change his destiny. There was no reason for her to give up. After taking a long time to calm down, Lil Luca asked another important question. "Master Sumo, how much of this wine can you provide? Since we are negotiating with the Dionysus Familia, we must be well prepared. If Sumo has a rich supply of goods, he can better lower the price. After all, if this is the case, this wine will become popular in Oreo sooner or later even without the help of the Dionysus family. And if Sumo's wine, if the quantity is as rare as that brewed by Sumo, her right to speak will be much smaller. To put it bluntly, the compromise balance between product quality, quantity, and channels mainly depends on which side is more advantageous if the table is turned upside down. As long as Sumo can provide a large amount of wine, that way channel costs can be kept to a minimum. In addition to business judgment, it's better to show some strength," Lil Lucas said thoughtfully. "Fortunately, the adventurers in our clan are basically weak. Even the strongest leader is only LV2. As long as you, Lord Sumo, can show your overwhelming strength advantage, they probably won't dare to make any small moves. In Oreo, although there are quite a lot of commercial activities, However, no matter what kind of business behavior it is, it must ultimately rely on force to protect the results. Strength is the ultimate power. Leluca, who understood this, was not too worried. With the power Su Mo showed, it would be easy to overwhelm those guys. Regarding the 2 points she raised, Su Mo had naturally considered it for a long time, but he didn't expect that Leluca had such a good mind and immediately realized the key point. It seems that this kid is a very good tool man. Thinking this, Su Mo shook his head. You don't have to worry about the quantity of supply. It will definitely be enough. Divine wine catalyzed by the power of Dionysus. It can easily turn the water in an entire lake into wine. With such a large supply, there is no need to worry about insufficient supply. As for force, you are still thinking too little. I have other plans. Can one's personal power alone be able to shock those scumbags of the Dionysian family? The answer is definitely yes. But just like this, it won't be a shock for too long. The so-called desperados don't think about the consequences. The dregs of the Dionysus family are probably all such people. Even at the beginning, I would not dare to do anything because of fear. However, if Su Mo is absent for a long time, dark thoughts will inevitably arise in them. Secretly selling wine from the warehouse, deliberately taking kickbacks, or falsely reporting losses. When it comes to sales, there are so many tricks you can play. Without specialized personnel stationed there, it would be absolutely impossible to defend against. Not to mention, Oreo itself does not allow adventurers to fight among themselves. Relying on this, it is still unclear what tricks the other party can play. That's why Su Mo said that Leluca was thinking too little after all. The greed of human nature cannot be eradicated by a mere shock. And he had a better way. Only when things like interests are checked and balanced can there be mutual supervision. Naturally, it was impossible for Su Mo to patrol the Dionysus Familia every day, although it is possible to use divine power to conclude a contract. But he didn't think those scumbags were qualified to enjoy such treatment. And his choice is, in terms of supervision, I'm going to ask people from the Loki family to participate. So, you don't have to worry about that. Su Mo said this. Loki Familia? Hearing about this, Orario's most famous family member. Leluca's face was full of surprise. He didn't expect that Su Mo was still connected with such a top family member. If that's the case, there's no need to worry at all. Leluca nodded. There is no problem with supply, and there is no problem with follow-up supervision and force. The rest is just negotiation. And she is very confident about this. Although Leluca is weak, her mind is quite useful. Lord Su Mo, please feel free to leave it to me. I will definitely give you a satisfactory result. She patted her chest. After finally being able to help Su Mo, she was naturally prepared to spend 200% of her efforts. Just before she was ready to go, Su Mo stopped her. Wait, bring your sidearm over here. Leluca was a little confused, but she still took out the dagger she had with her. Because she is only 1 meter tall, she uses a short sword. After Su Mo took the dagger, he only released it slightly. Just throw it back. I broke your magic sword before, so I'll compensate you for this. Su Mo said. You are still too weak now. It must be a bit difficult to negotiate with the leader of your clan. When you are in danger, just pull out this thing. Although it is a limited time item like an ordinary magic sword, its power is barely acceptable. 228 Loki family Leluca felt very strange about Su Mo's words. Just by touching the dagger, can this sword be turned into a magic sword? In this world, this is absolutely impossible. Forging a magic sword, even in this adventurer's city, is something that only a very small number of blacksmiths can do. Moreover, the magic sword is very expensive. Even with Leluca's savings, she can only afford one for self-defense. It is absolutely impossible for Su Mo to turn a dagger into a magic sword just by touching it, although he knew it was impossible. However, out of trust in his savior, Leluca still subconsciously grasped the hilt of the sword. Then, he immediately showed an expression of shock and speechlessness. This power is clearly the power of a magic sword. Just a little bit of magic power can produce the unique magic effect of the magic sword. After feeling this touch, Leluca felt that her 3 views were about to collapse. Just a touch can turn the blade into a magic sword. Even the gods can't do this, right? And immediately, she remembered the glass of fine wine she had drunk before. When it was first served, it was just ordinary boiled water. However, after Lord Su Mo pushed it over, suddenly it turned into fine wine. If this is the case, think about it a little. Doesn't it mean that those wines were also turned directly by you with water? Lilyluka asked in shock. This must be kept secret. Su Mo nodded. He didn't intend to hide it from Lilyluka. Chapter 288.1 is because with Lilyluka's current state of mind, it is absolutely impossible for her to leak the secret. The second reason is that a lazy person like him would not supply goods every day. Wait until this channel matures. He plans to directly become the hands-off shopkeeper. Just sit back and collect the money. Moreover, with the power of the contract, there is no need to worry about special circumstances. After hearing what Su Mo said, Lilyluka immediately covered her mouth and nodded. I was touched again by the trust given by Su Mo. He actually told himself such an important thing. In addition, he was worried about his own safety and generously gave himself the magic sword. The kindness Su Mo had given her was completely unclear. Thinking this, Lilyluka's expression gradually became firm. Since Lord Su Mo trusts her so much, naturally, she would not betray his trust. No matter what, we must succeed this time. I have to say that Lilyluka, who has been influenced, is still very reliable. I woke up to the mistakes of the past and understood the path for the future. Her steps were noticeably firmer, no longer as confused as before. And after taking care of Lilyluka's side, Su Mo did not choose to go home, but walked to another place. Loki Familia. This was the clan he wanted to join at first. However, the requirements for joining the Loki Familia are very high. As an ordinary person at first, he had no chance to enter. This time we came to the Loki Familia. He doesn't have the mentality of 30 years to the east of the river, 30 years to the west of the river. After all, as the Loki Familia is one of the largest families, it is normal to have certain requirements for its members. Su Mo, who had not awakened the golden finger, indeed did not meet the other party's requirements. It's just that I was rejected when I looked for a job normally. Besides, after getting the golden finger, it was obvious that Hestia, a doting dependent and a goddess who would never delve into Su Mo's secrets, was more suitable for Su Mo. Therefore, he feels that his current situation is more suitable for him. After coming to Loki Familia, when the adventurer guarding the gate heard that he was looking for Loki, he originally looked a little embarrassed. Naturally, the gods of the Familia clan are not just available to see them. However, after hearing Su Mo's name, the expression on the face of the adventurer guarding the door immediately changed. Immediately lead him the way to Loki. You know me? Su Mo asked a little strangely. He shouldn't have much reputation among ordinary adventurers, right? Even if this guard is from the Loki Familia. But he is not an adventurer in the expeditionary force, so he shouldn't know too much. No. The guard shook his head. It's just that Lord Loki has ordered that if an adventurer named Su Mo comes looking for someone, he must inform her. Hearing this, Su Mo felt a little strange. Why would Loki order this? She has no ability to predict. There was no way he knew he was coming to find her. And saw Su Mo's confused look. The guard hesitated for a moment, and then said it. Loki-sama's exact words were that you must have come here to find Miss Ace. In order to prevent Miss Ace from eloping with you, Master Loki asked us to inform her after we see you to prevent Miss Ace from being abducted. Regarding Su Mo's strength, the doorman didn't know, although the Loki Familia expedition team encountered Su Mo deep in the underground city. But because of Finn's gag order, Su Mo's story was only spread among the main members. But even so, the doorman was no stranger to Su Mo, who was rumored to have various relationships with AC. It is said that a few days ago, Miss Ace went to the dungeon alone every day just to date Su Mo. It is said that Miss Lafia sighs every day because the idol she admires is in love. It is said that Mr. Burt, the werewolf, howls at the moon every night because he lost to his love rival. It is said that Lord Loki has been getting drunk every day recently because Miss Ace has fallen in love with people's hearts, although Su Mo is not in the Loki Familia clan. However, the Loki Familia still retains his legend. Here the news revealed by the guard. Su Mo showed a helpless expression. What kind of gossip are you guys spreading every day? Especially for Loki, this is outrageous. If you really want to run away with Ace, why go to the Loki Familia to find her? Wouldn't it be enough to just ask her out? There shouldn't be too many opportunities for him to come into contact with Toolman number 1. The guard probably also felt that the main god of his family clan sounded a bit embarrassing. He immediately quickened his pace and brought him to the main hall. After walking in, Su Mo immediately saw the main god Loki in the main hall. After receiving the report, Loki also knew the identity of the man in front of him. Loki was very curious when he heard that Su Mo came to see him. I am the Lord God Loki. What do you want from me? Could it be that you want to take advantage of Ace's absence to attack me? Do you want all the god's followers to take over? That's not okay. I told you in advance that I only like girls. With a clear mind, she immediately issued a lily declaration. Hearing this, Su Mo was speechless. With Loki's iron figure, anyone who said he was a man would believe him. Where do you get such confidence? No wonder AC looked speechless when she mentioned you. I see, I understand. This statement dealt a heavy blow to Loki. AC-chan is not speechless. It's just that I can't describe my majesty with words, she said very stubbornly. Su Mo looked at her with pity. Even he couldn't wake up a person pretending to sleep. I came here this time to express my gratitude to the god Loki for his help in the last meeting of gods. He said the superficial reason for his visit, although the real purpose was other. However, when negotiating, reminiscing is also a necessary behavior. This can enhance the trust between the two parties and reduce the cost of trust. Loki immediately became happy when he heard Su Mo say this. The previous title matter. She helped mainly to maintain a good relationship with Su Mo. Although she had her own considerations, objectively speaking, she did help Su Mo, so thanking him is also a matter of course. It's just a small matter. After all, AC-chan's upgrade is also thanks to you. In fact, it should be said that we owe you a favor. Loki waved his hand happily, although he knew that this should not be the main reason for the other party to come. But it must be said that hearing this made her feel that her choice was correct. The other party is indeed worth dealing with. After a brief greeting, Su Mo handed over a bottle of wine. This is a thank you gift to Good Money Zhao. And to be honest, in addition to thanking you, there is another thing I need to discuss with you. This matter happens to be related to this bottle of wine. There is no need to beat around the bush when talking to smart people. Don't look at Loki pretending to be crazy and stupid all day long. If she was really stupid, she would not have developed her family to the current level. After hearing Su Mo's words, she became serious and took the bottle of wine. After opening the cork, a rich fragrance came. Good wine! Loki's eyes lit up and her expression immediately became happy. As a qualified alcoholic, she didn't know how much wine she had drunk over the years. Chapter 289. She even broke into the Bacchus clan where Lily Luca was. With her taste, she was very familiar with fine wine, but she had never tasted such delicious wine. She was not worried that Su Mo would poison her or anything. With his strength, he didn't need to beat around the bush if he wanted to threaten her. More importantly, Loki, who was addicted to alcohol, didn't want to wait until later to drink. She immediately blew into the bottle. Then, she was intoxicated. Good wine? No, divine wine. It's simply Tainju. Loki, who had tasted the wine, immediately praised loudly. Even the divine wine I drank before can't be compared with it. The quality of this wine is too high. 229 is mysterious. I added mysterious. He was a greedy drinker. After tasting that this was a peerless wine, Loki drank the whole bottle of wine in 2 or 3 gulps. Burp, then he burped. Even Su Mo himself didn't think this wine was precious. After seeing this scene, she felt like Zhu Beiji eating ginseng fruit or a cow chewing a peony. After drinking, Loki looked at Su Mo with shining eyes. After finding that he didn't have a second bottle of wine, she was a little disappointed. However, at this time, she also came out of the taste of the wine. You said you wanted to discuss something. What is it? Loki asked with some curiosity. She didn't think Su Mo wanted to ask her how the wine tasted. She didn't think Su Mo wanted to sell the wine to her. The reason was that this kind of peerless wine was in short supply. Even if it didn't need to be found, It would be enough to sell for a good price on the market. So she was a little confused. For problems related to wine, she should go to the god of wine's family. The thing is, Su Mo briefly explained his plan. Because of the lack of third-party supervision, I would like to ask your Loki family to send adventurers, responsible for supervising the adventurers of the god of wine's family, to ensure the normal progress of the transaction. Correspondingly, I will pay a certain amount of compensation. After listening to Su Mo's words, Loki was in high spirits. As the main god of the clan, although she didn't manage the accounts, she knew the general situation of her clan. The income of Loki's clan mainly came from the money obtained by the main 387 members from exploring the dungeon, relying on this income to maintain weapons, purchase equipment, and the daily needs of the clan. This model led to a problem. The Loki clan must continue to go to the dungeon to obtain enough magic stones to have enough economic sources for clan activities. This also led to the main force of Loki's clan going on expeditions all year round. Although there is time to rest, it will never be long, although there are more high-level adventurers. The Loki clan is not short of money, but it is definitely not particularly rich, because the accumulation of Loki's clan will eventually be invested in the expedition. The result of fighting to support the war is that it can't stop at all. There is also this reason why Loki's clan goes deep into the dungeon all year round. At this time, Su Mo provided such a channel. For Loki, it was a pleasant surprise. The highest level of the members of the Dionysus clan was only LV2. Adventurers of this level were not even considered as backup forces in the Loki clan. With the ability of their clan, it was easy to send a team of adventurers that could deter and supervise the Dionysus clan. And this move could bring unimaginable benefits to the Loki clan. It was a sure win, and if this source of funds could be obtained, the clan's capital chain problem would also be alleviated. The main followers would not have to go on expeditions to the dungeon all the time. More time could be spared for the teaching of the younger generation. In any aspect, this was definitely beneficial to the Loki clan. However, Loki did not immediately agree to Su Mo's words. Can I ask how much of this wine is available? Loki also asked the point. When she was serious, she was still quite reliable. As for this god, naturally, Su Mo could not be as frank as he was with Lilyluka. Although Lilyluka is a member of the god of wine, but she has no companions around her, and she can only rely on Su Mo naturally. She will not betray. As a god of the god of wine, Loki must prioritize the interests of his own god of wine. Therefore, Su Mo will never trust her too much. At least, this kind of secret will not be told to her. The details cannot be disclosed, but it is more than enough to fill a warehouse. Su Mo replied. Hearing this, Loki jumped up directly. Really? Is it really true? Such fine wine can actually store a whole warehouse? That's simply heaven. She, who loves fine wine, couldn't help but feel excited. Loki originally thought that such wine would be at most a dozen barrels, or even dozens of bottles. It is something very precious, but he didn't expect to hear an absolutely impossible quantifier from Su Mo. A warehouse. This is beyond the level of the divine wine brewed by the god of wine. If he could wander in this wine pool, Loki would be willing to pay all his money in exchange. Can you take me there? I'll go take a look. Loki begged Su Mo. My god, this is simply shameless. She had no doubts about Su Mo's words. After all, I have the strength to back me up. A strong person will not tell meaningless lies. The reason why she wanted to go and see it was purely because she was greedy for the wine. Seeing her like this, Su Mo was speechless, but did not agree. This kind of thing is a business secret and cannot be revealed casually. This is basic business practice. If the enemy knew the location of the warehouse and set it on fire, wouldn't everything be lost? Of course, Su Mo said this purely because this warehouse did not exist. If anything, his warehouse is a water pipe. AFTA. But aren't we allies? Isn't it okay to show allies? Loki said, unwilling to give up. You mean you agreed to my conditions? Su Mo raised his eyebrows and confirmed. There is no reason to refuse a good thing that comes to your door. Loki nodded. Then, the words changed. However, before formally agreeing, I would like to confirm something. Loki's eyes became serious. Could this bottle of wine be brewed by the gods through divine power? If so, please forgive us that Loki Familia cannot participate. But don't worry, I will never tell anyone. When this issue was mentioned, Loki looked very serious. Gods cannot use their divine power in the lower realm. This is an iron rule, and Loki could never imagine how it was possible to brew such a wine that was more fragrant than the wine of Dionysus. There are only two possibilities for doing this. The worst possibility is what Loki just mentioned. The gods violated the prohibition and secretly used their divine power to brew wine. If that's the case, in view of Su Mo's kindness to AC, Loki would never report it to Uranus. However, it is absolutely impossible to participate in such illegal things. The other possibility is legal and compliant. However, the possibility of it happening is extremely small. Chapter 290, after all, Dionysian skills have surpassed human limits. And if you want to brew a wine that surpasses the god himself, the only possibility is to use power that gods cannot use. And the only one who uses the power of gods openly and honestly. It's mystery. I added mystery in it. Su Mo asked Loki this question. He gave an answer that he had already thought about. Choosing the mysterious skill at first, he waited for this ability to come in handy. This is the best cover for human beings to use the power belonging to gods. This bottle of wine was not brewed illegally by gods, but brewed by me myself. When I upgraded, I gained a development skill called Mystery. This skill allows me to use the power that belongs to the gods. Every word is told the truth, but when combined together, it can give people an illusion. It makes people think that he relied on his mysterious skills to brew a peerless wine that surpasses the divine wine. Loki is smart, but she never imagined that Su Mo himself could exercise the power of God. So, after hearing Su Mo say that he brewed this wine, according to the common sense of this world, it was immediately accepted that this bottle of wine was brewed using mysterious skills. Hearing Su Mo's words, even though Loki had already guessed, he still couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. The mysterious skill is standard for big guys. There are only a few in Oreo. The Su Mo in front of him happened to have it, and even exercise it to a sufficient height. It can even rival the skills of gods. If others say that with the help of mysterious skills, they even defeated the wine brewed by the god of Dionysus himself, Loki would have scoffed, not to mention the difficulty of training mysterious skills. In itself, it is not a universal skill that can be imitated by any god's power. Mysterious, the only thing that can be imitated is the power of gods that one understands. Generally speaking, they are cultivated by the gods of their own family. However, Su Mo is different from ordinary people. Knowing Su Mo's strength, he was regarded by Loki as a genius beyond common sense. Even floor masters with several times the level of LV7 can be easily killed. What does it mean to brew such a fine wine? Although he is fond of fine wine, Loki himself does not know what level of mystery it takes to brew such a level of wine. The ability value itself is also the secret of the adventurer and cannot be revealed. Therefore, for Loki, Su Mo's statement was very reasonable. After confirming that there is no problem with the origin of this batch of wine, Loki felt relieved and immediately agreed to Su Mo's request. 230. Is this a little white rabbit who is not good at negotiating? After initial confirmation of intention, they immediately entered the second phase. Bargaining stage. What? So many of us adventurers have worked hard for you, and you only give me half of the profits as a reward. Loki slapped the table with bravado. You know, there's not even a single horoscope yet. We're not even sure if this amazing wine, it's going to sell well. In this case, it would be too bullying for you to only give half of the reward, right? Half percent, not 50-50, but half of 10%, 5%. As the leading Loki Familia in Oreo, they only had this asking price, which made Loki very dissatisfied. Hearing her words, Su Mo nodded. It makes sense. After all, the future is uncertain. It's normal for you to have concerns. If you lose money, you will even lose blood. Hearing Su Mo's words, Loki was delighted. It seemed that although Su Mo was strong but inexperienced, he actually agreed to what his opponent said. In this case, she felt that she could still get a prize for her family members. If that's the case, how about increasing the profit to 30%? Loki the lion opened his mouth wide. She was prepared for rejection, but bargaining was common. Make money, don't shiver. Even if we talk about 20% in the end, it is still a bloody profit. Hearing Loki's words, Su Mo shook his head. That's not good. After all, if it's risky, even if it's 50 to 50, you will still lose money, right? As an ally, I cannot let you take such a big risk. Hear the words. Loki was stunned. What she didn't expect was that Su Mo not only didn't bargain, but even pushed back to a 50 to 50 price. Is this guy so bad at doing business? Just like a little white rabbit walking in the busy city with a lot of money. How could you resist picking up a handful of wool when you see such a little white rabbit? With this in mind, she said boldly, how about 7 or 3? I'm 7 and you're 3? She herself thought it was impossible. But judging from Su Mo's intention, why does it seem like there's something going on? Su Mo heard Loki's words. I was a little speechless in my heart. Can you really scream? Then he shook his head. Don't say it will be open on July 3rd, but it will be open on September 1st. You will also bear the risk. In that case, why not just show up and hire your family members? The price I offer is 5 times the market price, and the salary is calculated on a weekly basis. What do you think? Su Mo said with all his might. Directly change from profit sharing to salary. In this way, the Loki clan will never lose money. However, it also lost the possibility of making a huge profit. Moreover, it has been reduced from cooperation to working. Hearing this, Loki panicked immediately. No, absolutely not. It was agreed before that it was a profit sharing, right? Hearing her question, Su Mo just responded with what she had said before. But didn't you say before that this wine might not be popular and might even lose money? Instead of letting your Loki clan take such a big risk, why don't you let me take the risk and you make a net profit? How good is that? Su Mo said with a smile on his face. Hearing his words, Loki suddenly didn't know how to refute. It was she who used the risk as an excuse before. However, Loki, who had drunk the wine, understood. There is no possibility that wine of this quality will not sell well. Her words just now were just to lower the price, but she didn't expect to shoot herself in the foot. If she listened to Su Mo and really changed to a salary, that would be a real loss. A real man can bend and stretch. Loki immediately said with a wry smile, just kidding. How can we let our allies bear all the risks? We, the Loki clan, have nothing but deep loyalty. How can we just focus on making money for ourselves? A little risk is a good thing. Let's talk about the profit. Loki's heart was bleeding as he said this. She didn't expect that she had misjudged him. The person in front of her was not a little white rabbit who didn't know how to negotiate a deal, but a big bad wolf. He easily defeated her request and made it impossible for her to make a fuss about the risk. If she talked about the risk again, the other party would definitely talk about the salary. Then it would change from cooperation to employment. However, as the god of mischief, she had a very flexible mind. Since the risk couldn't be discussed, she still had something to say. If we divide it, after all, our Loki clan is one of the largest clans. Giving us only half, isn't that too little? There are very few guards as good as ours. Chapter 291, what she said was correct. Regardless of their strength and reputation, the Loki Familia is at the forefront of Aurario's Familia. If the Bacchus family knew that they were here to supervise, their little thoughts would definitely be extinguished. After all, everyone knows that LV3 adventurers are only second tier in the Loki Familia clan. If a member of the Loki Familia is provoked, LV6 might be provoked later. The reason why Su Mo chose Loki Familia was not only because of familiarity, but also taking this into consideration. Reputation is important. All things considered, Loki Familia is indeed my best choice. Su Mo nodded and admitted. After Loki showed a surprised expression, he added leisurely, unfortunately, it is only one of the best choices. Hearing what he said, Loki remembered something and his expression changed. Su Mo continued. In Aurario, there is another Familia whose reputation is as good as that of the Loki Familia, and the guards they can send are equally excellent, the Freya Familia. Because he has Oda, Aurario's strongest adventurer, at LV7. The reputation of the Freya familia is slightly higher. This family member is also a good choice for Su Mo. This is no lie. The reason why Su Mo didn't choose this family. One is because the Freya familia is not like the Loki familia, with tight liquidity and difficulty in lowering prices. The second reason is that he can restrain the Loki familia through AC to ensure that Loki does not dare to play tricks. Freya has no corresponding restrictions. That's why Su Mo chose the Loki familia. It's definitely not out of dissatisfaction with some beachy goddess who is too blind to see his pure soul. Well, absolutely not. Loki naturally didn't know about Su Mo's rejection of Freya's family. After hearing what he said, Loki couldn't refute. She has been competing with the Freya familia for many years. 0. Ask for flowers is 0, but there has never been a winner. The advantages that his own family members have, Freya's family members also have. Moreover, to be honest, Freya familia is a little more familiar with sending adventurers as escorts than she is. In this regard, the Loki familia really don't have much bargaining capital. Thinking of this, she could only lower her head in despair. Okay, half done, I admit it. Loki, realizing that he could not win against his opponent, gave up his struggle. Anyway, for them, 0.5% is still a profit. But at this time, Su Mo's voice sounded. Loki suddenly raised his head, showing a very surprised expression. Actually, it is not impossible to increase the remuneration to 10%. Su Mo said this, and after seeing Loki's surprised look, he added, "But there is no free profit. Those who work harder will get more." How dare he, a lazy dog, have the nerve to say this? It's not hard at all to use your power to turn into wine. However, in Luo Ji's view, Su Mo, who provided the products, was naturally the one who worked the hardest. So there's nothing wrong with what he said. You mean? Loki vaguely understood Su Mo's logic. I can increase your share to 10%, Su Mo said with a smile. But correspondingly, all disputes during the sales process will be resolved by you. How about this? In addition to supervision, there are bound to be various other disputes. Whether it's a dispute between guests, shopkeepers, or adventurers. Even coveted by peers or something like that. Su Mo was not interested in dealing with it. It's better to leave these troublesome tasks to others. The Loki familia is a suitable option. Given their reputation, it is not difficult to mediate disputes. As long as the problem can be solved with money, it is not a problem. Hearing Su Mo's suggestion, after Loki hesitated for 2 seconds, he immediately nodded. Although this is equivalent to taking all these troubles on oneself. However, there are many adventurers from the Loki familia clan. As long as there are enough people to solve the problem, it's not a big deal. Just in this way, you can get half an additional profit. This is definitely a profitable business. After Loki fully agreed, the two parties immediately drew up a contract. Profit is distributed according to the 91 share method. Loki's family is responsible for settling all troubles other than sales. After negotiating the contract, just when he was about to sign, Loki discovered a problem. Wait, where are the Dionysian familia? They've finished talking here. What about the Dionysian familia? Why don't I see the file? Goods and security are in place. We still need channel suppliers. To this, Su Mo's answer was, the Bacchus familia side should be almost done. If we go there now, we should be in time to sign the contract. After hearing his words, Loki was stunned again. Only then did she know that Su Mo had come to look for her before he had negotiated terms with the Dionysus familia. This is too confident. If the Dionysian familia didn't reach a good deal, wouldn't everything be in trouble? However, now that things have come to this, she can't bear to go back on her word. I can only rush to the shelves and follow Su Mo to the Dionysus familia. 231 The countryside encircles the city, tactics other side. After Su Mo separated, Lily Luca returned to the clan with a big package on her back. When no one was paying attention, she immediately slipped into her small room. After getting Su Mo's approval, Lily Luca did not choose to enter through the gate arrogantly. Then she went to negotiate with Sunnis alone. That approach is useful for people who follow the rules. It may not be effective for Sunnis who does not follow the rules. It is very likely that she will be taken down by the other party. Although she has the magic sword, Lily Luca is not afraid of those guys now. However, force should be used at the last minute. It is certainly gratifying to rush up directly, but compared to gratifying, Lililuca thinks it is more important to do what Su Mo asked her to do. She does not want to disappoint Su Mo's heavy trust in her. It is called a small room, but it is actually just a place to pile up miscellaneous items. With Lililuca's status, it is naturally impossible for her to have a good room. Fortunately, she is petite. The place she needs to sleep is not big. Close the door. Lililuca took out the 2 empty wine barrels she had just bought from the package. Then she filled the empty wine barrels with water. After that, she took out a bottle that was only a few centimeters in size from her arms. Then she dripped the liquid in the bottle, which exuded the aroma of wine, 387, into the white water in the wine barrel. After dripping, Lililuca quickly closed the lid. After more than 10 seconds, she quietly opened the lid. She immediately smelled the rich aroma of wine. It was just a few drops of solution. Chapter 292, it was actually possible to turn all the water in the 2 large barrels into fine wine that exceeded the level of divine wine. This was too incredible. However, Lililuca, who had been surprised, quickly calmed down this time. Immediately put the lid on. To prevent the wine from overflowing, there was a faucet-like thing on the lower half of the barrel. This was a common mechanism for pouring wine. Lililuca took out the empty wine bottle she had just bought, filled a few bottles with the fine wine, and stuffed them in her backpack. Then, after making a good disguise, she walked out with her bag on her back. Fortunately, as a long-term bullied target in the clan, not many people would notice her. Soon, Lililuca walked to the gatekeeper of the Dionysus clan. Then, she immediately saw a bearded dwarf, Chundra. This was her target. Chundra was a LV2 adventurer, and the reason he joined the Dionysus clan was for fine wine. With his strength, the money he earned in the dungeon would naturally meet Sunny's standards, and he could get divine wine. But even so, the stingy Sunnies would only give him a few sips of divine wine. Therefore, the dissatisfied dwarf and Sunnies did not get along very well. However, he did not intend to resist Sunnies as the leader. Sunnies also knew that he could not take down this LV2 adventurer. So both sides were safe and sound. Although Chundra would probably listen to Sunnies' orders, he was also passive. There are actually quite a few adventurers like him. After all, divine wine is much less addictive for LV2 adventurers. The reason why Sunnies can still control other followers with divine wine. Mainly because the god of wine did not punish him for this. In the followers, the will of the main god is absolute. Therefore, no one disobeyed Sunnies. However, now, it seems a little different. The dwarf Chundra looked at Lililuca, whose eyes were obviously shining with a different light. He sensed the sign of the coming storm. You are Lililuca, right? He recognized the identity of the red-haired girl in front of him. Chundra is one of the few people who has never bullied Lililuca. However, his nature has nothing to do with kindness. Otherwise, he would not have stood by and watched. The reason why he did not bully Lililuca was just because he was not interested. It is better to say that he is not interested in anything except wine. And this time, Lililuca aroused his interest. Or rather, the bottle of wine in Lililuca's hand aroused his interest. Want to bribe me? 2 ordinary wine is not okay, Chundra said very casually. He is not picky about wine, but he does not want to cause trouble because of some inferior wine. Of course, if Lililuca took out good wine, he would not mind helping a little. If it was a whole bottle of divine wine, he would not even mind fighting for her once. Of course, this kind of thing is impossible. How could someone as weak as Lililuca be able to take out divine wine? What is this? Chundra, who had just thought about this, suddenly smelled a fragrance that was more mellow than divine wine. He showed a shocked expression and immediately looked at Lililuca's hand. The little human girl was opening the bottle cork. The fragrance immediately made him feel refreshed. With the degree of alcohol addiction of the dwarf, even if there was intestinal poison in this wine, he would not be able to resist taking a sip. Not to mention, the little human girl in front of him directly handed the bottle to him. Let's talk after you finish drinking, Lililuca said confidently. Gudon! The dwarf Chundra's throat rolled. He had no resistance to alcohol, and it was difficult for him to restrain himself. I wanted to hear Lililuca's request, but she said so. Naturally, there was no reason to continue to endure. It was like drinking some sweet rain. He drank it directly in one gulp, and then was conquered by the refreshing taste. Even the divine wine brewed by the main god. It was not as delicious as this divine wine. Intoxicated by the wine that was more delicious than the divine wine. He was always rough when drinking, and it took him 10 minutes to finish half a bottle of wine. He sealed the remaining half bottle. After all, it was a peerless wine that surpassed the divine wine. Even he didn't want to drink it all in one go. That would be a pity. After putting the remaining half bottle of wine away, Chandra looked at Lily Luca, and his eyes became serious. She was able to get so much wine that surpassed the divine wine. Even if she was weak, she was definitely a character that should not be underestimated. What do you want me to help you with? Chandra, who was very satisfied with the divine wine, asked directly. I won't do anything to rebel against the Lord God, and I can help you with anything you want. His quick-talking and heroic style. It is exactly the same as the style of the dwarves. Lily Luca was willing to give such great sincerity. He naturally would not refuse to help. When hearing Chandra's words, Lily Luca didn't show it on the surface. But she was very surprised in her heart. She knew Chandra might switch sides. But out of caution, she prepared a bunch of excuses. Unexpectedly, none of these words came in handy. The other party agreed directly. The effect of this divine wine is too strong. At the same time, he admired Su Mo's power even more. Lil Luca revealed her plan. The thing is like this. Now, that gentleman wants to use our family's reputation and channels to sell these wines. I am the only spokesperson chosen by that adult zero. Now, I am ready to negotiate with Captain Sunny's. But before that, I need someone to support me. All you need to do is stand behind me. This is a win-win situation. It is obviously very beneficial to the adventurers of the Dionysus Familia, who would go to dungeons to fight when you can make money through business activities. Not to mention, with the quality of this batch of wine, the sales volume will be a very scary figure. Even if they just earn a salary, the income of the Dionysus family adventurers can be doubled. Therefore, for most ordinary adventurers, this is a very beneficial thing. But Lil Lucas spoke calmly and calmly. If this matter falls on Sunny's, his greed will inevitably undermine business practices. When the time comes, I don't care whether that adult will continue to choose to cooperate with our family members. Even if we cooperate, you adventurers who are not Sunny's closest friends probably won't get any benefits, right? Although the other party is willing to support him. Lil Lucas still explained it clearly to him. Let Chandra know that they are on the same page. This way you will work harder. Hearing Lil Lucas' words, Chandra shook her head. I don't understand what you said is too complicated. I just want to ask one thing. The dwarf style is like this, straight to the point. If I follow you, can I drink a bottle of wine like this every month in the future? Chapter 293, Chandra asked seriously. He doesn't care about family, business, cooperation, or anything like that. Those are all pie-in-the-sky behaviors. All he cared about was the wine. Under Sunny's control, he could only drink a few sips of the divine wine a month. If Lil Luca could drink one bottle of divine wine a month, he decided to do it. In fact, a bottle of divine wine is also a lion's mouth. Based on Chandra's psychological expectations, half a bottle of wine would be enough. That's far more weight than Sunny's has to offer. And hearing what Chandra said, Lily Luca was stunned for a moment, then nodded heavily. No problem, I promise that. Judging from the previous discussion between her and Su Mo, the salary for a bottle of wine a month should not be too low at 3.0, so she agreed immediately. Seeing Lil Luca's serious expression, Chandra smiled unshavenly. Okay, I'll leave this life to you. As long as there is wine, the dwarf will not refuse the employer's request. If it were said that before he only protected Lilica because of that bottle of wine, now he just protects Lilica so that he can drink every month in the future. The biggest difference between the two is, as a dwarf, he doesn't mind risking his life for wine. Good. Lilica was very happy to get this helper. Next, let's find the next adventurer who, like you, has a bad relationship with Sunny's. Hear Lilica's command. Chandra thought for a while and immediately took her to his acquaintance. With Chandra as a bodyguard, Lily Luca began to directly lobby several adventurers. with the divine wine and Lilaluka's vision for the future. Not to mention, LV2 level Chandra is on her side. Soon, Lilaluka convinced these adventurers. Naturally, low-level adventurers can only get a glass of wine to taste. LV2 level adventurers can get a bottle of wine. Under this situation, Lilaluka soon connected 30% of the adventurers from the Dionysus Familia. 232 used force to suppress people and mobilize the masses when Sannies discovered the commotion within the family clan. The commotion itself was no longer possible to conceal. 30% of the adventurers from the Bacchus family stood uniformly behind a little girl. Such an unusual scene immediately aroused Sunny's vigilance. So, he immediately walked out of the hall with his confidants. The entrance to the hall. In the courtyard path, two groups of people within the Dionysus family are confronting each other. On one side are Sunny's and his henchmen. On one side was Lilaluka and the people gathered behind her. Other members of the Dionysian family either work hard in the underground city or operate outside. The rest were watching in the courtyard. No one is taking sides at the moment. Lilaluka, looking at the little human girl in front of him, the leader Sannies had a very ugly expression. Not just because someone is trying to resist him, it was also because the number of people resisting him was even greater than on his side. Don't look at the fact that Lilaluka only has 30% of the adventurers gathered. That's enough. In fact, even if Sannies controls the entire Dionysus Familia, his confidants only occupy 20% of the Familia. Just because there are no other groups within the family clan, only then can he maintain his rule. Do you want to do the following and disobey the gods? At first, Sannies suppressed him directly in the name of justice. Everyone on Lilaluka's side was a little shaken. However, Lilaluka had already expected this scene. That's absolutely not the case. How could I be so disrespectful to the Lord God? I came here with everyone just to discuss a business deal with the group leader, regardless of the hat he wears. Lilaluka saw that everyone was paying attention to her. Immediately stated the business conditions loudly. Hear the words. The adventurers watching nearby immediately started to stir up excitement. Obviously excited. If the Dionysus family becomes a complete business family, not only do you make more money, you are also safer. And you can also get wine comparable to divine wine. No matter how you look at it, this is a good thing. After hearing Lilaluka's words, Sannies couldn't help but retorted loudly. It's empty talk. How can there be wine in the world that surpasses the divine wine? This does make sense, especially for people from the Bacchus family. It is completely unbelievable. People who have been drinking will naturally not doubt it. However, those who have never drank alcohol will definitely not believe it. At this time, Chandra behind Lilaluka brought a wine barrel. The wine that surpasses the divine wine is here. If you don't believe it, just come and try it. Dwarves are known to be drunkards. Since he said so, it is indeed possible. At this moment, maybe because of greed, maybe because he wanted to demonstrate, Chandra took out an empty cup and filled it, then took a sip. It is definitely delicious beyond the divine wine. Don't wait for him to speak. The adventurers who saw him escaping immediately surrounded him. Don't drink secretly. This belongs to everyone. That's right, Chandra. You are such a thief. Seeing everyone's performance, the adventurers who were watching also came over. Even among Sunny's confidants, there were many adventurers eager to try. Come one by one, each person can only drink a small cup. At this time, Chandra's voice came, and with the strength of LV2, he forcibly stabilized the order. He did this. All those who tasted the taste of the peerless wine immediately believed Lilaluka's words. When the barrel of wine was divided into only one bottom, the dwarf Chandra pushed everyone away, throwing the remaining barrels to Sunny's. Lord Sunny's, if you don't believe it, try it yourself. Chandra said so. Do you have to go against me? Sunny's was full of anger. What are you talking about? Why don't I understand? The dwarf Chandra said exaggeratedly. We are also for the good of our family. As expected of a dwarf, he is not good at acting. The line foundation is very poor. It can be seen that he is acting, but Sunny's can't do anything with him. After hesitating for a while, out of curiosity, he also poured out the wine in the barrel and tasted it. Then, Seema's face appeared. Damn, why is it really better than the wine of the god of wine? After tasting the wine, Sunny's realized that he had made a mistake. Because of the previous commotion, Chapter 294 50% of the adventurers have gathered behind Leluca. Most adventurers who have tasted the wine cannot refuse it. Seeing so many people in the darkness, even Sunny's couldn't help but feel frightened. What made him feel even more terrible was, after drinking the wine from the barrel, many adventurers in his circle also left his team after hesitating, went to the other side. After all, close friends are also divided into distant and distant relatives. A confidant who is too distant will not be able to share any good wine. As a result, his side became even more weak. After realizing this, he gritted his teeth and looked at the leader of the crowd. Lily Luca, what on earth do you want to do? He questioned. If it were the previous Lil Luca, she would definitely look scared at this moment. But now, apart from calmness and mockery, there was no trace of fear in her eyes. Facing this leader who has been oppressing him all year round, Leluca responded with very normal words. Why do you ask that, Captain? Of course, I just want that adult to cooperate with us. Cooperate? Sunny's looked at her angrily and couldn't help but take a step forward. Do we need to find so many people to discuss cooperation? It's easy to do things with so many people. Leluca looked like it was normal to do this. After all, this matter involves the entire family. Wouldn't it be better for everyone to discuss it together? Say this. The other adventurers nodded. They are happy to see the success of this matter and naturally want to pay attention to it. In fact, more than half of the people behind Lil Luca have no hostility towards Sunny's. It doesn't matter who takes the lead in signing the treaty. However, under Lil Luca's operation, these people all stood behind her, become a potential that she can use. The pressure made Sunny's unable to breathe. If Sunny's was smart enough, he would either pretend to be suddenly sick at this moment, either agree to Leluca's conditions and discuss the matter in detail later. As long as you go through this period of time, you can regain your advantage. However, Sunny's, who only knew how to oppress members of the clan, had no experience in struggle. Hearing Leluca's words, he just felt that the other party was perfunctory with him, relying on his LV2 level strength. He immediately took a step forward, wanting to slap this despicable little human on the face. Let her understand what superiority and inferiority are. Let this thief understand what he should do when talking to the group leader. However, boom! The slap carried the sound of wind, but it only hit the hard shield. It's not a good habit to attack members of the family, Lord Sunny's. The dwarf Chandra protected Lil Luca. One is a warrior who relies on killing monsters in dungeons to get wine. One is an adventurer who abandoned his martial arts skills after becoming the group leader. The outcome of the confrontation between the two men was obvious. Sunny's flinched. With Chandra here, relying on force will not work. At this time, Lil Luca, who was almost slapped, remained calm. Looking at Sunny's in front of her, she asked coldly, Captain, is this your attitude towards that adults-only spokesperson? If you want to humiliate Lily, that's all. But if you want to disgrace the adult behind you, please consider the consequences. If it angers the person behind it, at the slightest risk, the right to sell on behalf of others will be lost. Worse, it provokes a powerful enemy. After realizing this, the adventurers cast unfriendly glances at Sunny's. Even Sunny's confidence had changes in their eyes. All of them want to get consignment rights. It's just that Sunny's henchmen just want to keep the power in their own hands so they can share the profits. Therefore, no one is allowed to lift the table. Even his own leader is the same. After realizing 387 this, Sunny's took a step back with some fear. But then, he remembered something, and a sarcastic smile appeared on his face. Of course I don't want to anger that adult. It's just Leluca, you lied, right? You're just a minor human being. Why would that adult let you be the only spokesperson? No matter what, you should be looking for me as the leader, right? I suspect that you deliberately misinterpreted that adult's words for the sake of power. If that adult wants to sell alcohol, he will never turn to a despicable thief like you. These words were extremely contemptuous of Leluca's identity. Sunny's does think so. When discussing business, it would be great to discuss it with yourself, the leader of the group. Why would you want to find anyone else, let alone a sewer rat like Lily Luca? It's simply impossible. He suspected that Lily Luca was using chicken feathers as arrows. These words also resonated with others. although I also want the right to sell on behalf of others. But Loli, who had always been at the bottom of the family clan, suddenly climbed above them. Many adventurers are actually very uncomfortable with it. That's all Sanny's. He's the leader of the group anyway. So who do you Loli look like? It's just the garbage that survived in the trash can. With such a dark mentality, many people began to waver. Even if Sunnis came to power, they would not end up well. But at the same time, they also couldn't bear to see Loli soar to the sky. The mentality was ugly, but it was also true. And for this situation, for this kind of doubt, Loli had naturally expected it. If the uniqueness of her spokesperson could not be confirmed, Sunnis would definitely ask for a high price. In that case, Lord Su Mo would definitely suffer a loss. This would not work. She had already prepared and took out a dagger from her bosom. I can prove that I am the only spokesperson for that lord. She said so in front of everyone. 233 The situation has been determined. Loki. Yes, it is me hearing this. Everyone's face changed again. If Loli is really valued and becomes the only designated spokesperson. In other words, she has the right to decide whether to let their family participate. She even has the right to influence the family income. If this is the case, she will not allow any mistakes. The one who had the biggest reaction after hearing this was Sunny's. Proof? What can you prove? He sneered at this. Just a dagger in your hand? Use it to kill goblins? The other adventurers were also a little confused. However, Loli ignored Sunny's words. She took out the magic sword given by Su Mo. There was a bright silver pattern on the magic sword, which looked very beautiful. Thinking that this was something Su Mo gave her, she was a little reluctant to use it. Chapter 295, but this time it was also for Su Mo's matter. So, I can't let my feelings affect the big things. Silently stepped forward. Loli took the knife and pointed it at the open space in the courtyard in front of her. She didn't know the power of this magic sword, but from the magic power contained in the dagger, she could also feel it. This magic sword is of a high level, so she tried to point it at the open space. Behind the open space, there was a ruin and no one lived there. So, it should be safe. Thinking of this, she used magic power to activate the magic sword in her hand. Looking at the light on the dagger, Sunnis also understood that the sword in Loli's hand was not an ordinary blade. It was a magic sword, but it's just a magic sword. What proof can it have? Sunnis said with disdain. Although the magic sword is expensive, he can afford it with his financial resources, especially the magic sword used by low-level adventurers, which may not be worth much. If you want to rely on the magic sword to prove your identity, that is totally unconvincing. Unless the magic sword taken out is at least LV3. If this precious weapon is there, at least it can prove that the adult really values Loli. In this case, her being the only spokesperson is likely to come true. With this idea, everyone looked at the little human girl in front of them. At this time, Loli had completely activated the magic sword. Swish! A silver light appeared. The bright light spread out from the blade of the magic sword like a crescent. The silver moon-like sword energy spread directly to the distance. Swish! This is the sound of the silver sword energy cutting the earth. Boom! This is the sound of the courtyard wall collapsing. Buzz, this is the sound of the earth wailing and shaking. The low-level adventurers were directly shocked by the earthquake and stood unsteadily. In the distance, the huge silver sword energy had expanded to hundreds of meters. Like a hot knife cutting butter, the ruins behind were completely cut off. Clatter! The bricks, tiles, and stones on the ruins fell one after another. The booming sound of the ground gradually disappeared. The world seemed to be quiet. And on the earth, a deep abyss of hundreds of meters stretched from the tip of Loli's toes to the distance. The abyss that tore the earth apart was impossible to see the bottom. This blow directly changed the topography of the earth. The adventurers of the Dionysus clan were deeply shocked. Is this the power of the gods? Some adventurers made fearful sounds. More adventurers were silent. Even Chandra, the dwarf, was completely stunned after seeing the scene in front of him. After a long time, he came back to his senses. I'm afraid only magicians of first-tier adventurers can make such a big noise. Chandra made such a judgment. First-tier adventurers. That is, adventurers at LV5 and above. And magicians are a very special profession. In this world, the attack power of magicians is one level higher than their adventurer level. In other words, a magician at level LV5 can exert magic that is comparable to the attack power of adventurers at level LV6. What he meant by this was the attack of this magic sword, at least above level LV6. All adventurers were shocked when they heard this. A magic sword above level LV6. The value of such a thing is simply immeasurable. At least tens of millions. Hundreds of millions are not impossible. Giving such a precious item to a little girl. This is no longer a question of importance. Even if it is a sponsorship, it does not cost so much money. After realizing this, the doubts in the hearts of all adventurers were immediately eliminated. Being able to give such a special magic sword, how could he not be the only spokesperson? Even if it is not with the relationship between them, it is not a matter of a word to affect the contract. How is this possible? Sunny's on the side was unwilling to believe it, but he was also disheartened. Thinking of himself, he wanted to slap the girl before. He couldn't help but feel scared. If Lilyluka had taken out the magic sword directly at that time, wouldn't he have died without a burial place? No matter how greedy he was, after witnessing the huge abyss on the ground in front of him, he didn't have the courage to provoke Lilyluka again. Just when Sunny's was about to give up, a familiar voice came. What happened? After hearing this voice, Sunny's was stunned for a moment, and then immediately ecstatic. Lord God, why are you here just now? He turned around. Sure enough, he saw the god of his clan, the god of wine. It seemed that he was disturbed by the noise outside. So he went out. The god of wine, who was brewing wine, heard the huge noise made by the magic sword. No matter how reluctant he was, he had to come out to deal with the trouble. For him, those who interfered with his brewing were troubles that had to be dealt with. As for these adventurers, are they his clan? After these guys were addicted to alcohol and easily captured by the divine wine, the god of wine had already given up on them. He glanced at the adventurers underground impatiently. Although he didn't know why so many people gathered around Lilyluka. He didn't know why the atmosphere in the clan looked a little strange. But the god of wine didn't care about it at all. Sannies, tell me what's going on? He asked the leader of the clan he had chosen casually. And hearing the question of the god of wine, Sunny's fell into ecstasy. Is there any more convenient opportunity to show off than this? Not to mention, this stupid god can do nothing except brewing wine. Isn't it easy to deceive him? Thinking of this, Sunny's immediately expounded passionately. Lord God, Lilyluka is preparing to rebel. I am the leader you chose, and she actually wants to resist your will. She is worthy of death. Just now it was also her who destroyed the clan land. Chapter 296 to add insult to injury. Sunny's directly portrayed Lilyluka as a guy with evil intentions. Not only did he deceive the adult who served the drink behind his back, he also tried to dominate the family members and deny the authority of the Lord God. After hearing such a long list of words, if ordinary gods heard it, it would be difficult not to feel disgusted. And looked at the Dionysian in front of him. Lilyluka was indeed a little panicked, although Lord Su Mo taught him how to deal with this person. However, out of human reverence for gods, she was still a little scared. Fortunately, the current situation does not exceed Lord Su Mo's expectations. Seeing Sanny's appearance, Lilyluka became much calmer. After listening to Sunny's discussion, the expression on Dionysian's face did not change at all. He turned his attention to Lilyluka. What he said is okay, right? Dionysus looked impatient, obviously waiting for Lilyluka to say yes before leaving the matter to Sunny's. Then he went back to make wine, and faced with this attitude, Lilyluka did not answer directly. Instead, he took out the last bottle of wine from his backpack, uncorked the bottle, stepped forward and handed it to Bacchus. I was a little concerned about the smell in the air before. After seeing the wine in the bottle, the god of wine took a sniff and immediately showed a surprised expression. Seeing this scene, Lilyluka felt relieved. Lord God, I met an adult who proposed a transaction. If our family agrees, you can get more funds to buy brewing equipment. In addition, Samples of the provided wine can also be sent to you as research materials. As long as Sannies doesn't take advantage of it, you can study better divine wine in the future. To hit a snake, hit it 7 inches. What Dionysus cares most about is wine making. Therefore, Lil Luca did not respond to his question at all. It just explains the changes it will bring. And at the end, he hacks Sannies. After hearing Lil Luca's words, Dionysus glanced at her with some concern. The child who was addicted to the divine wine a long time ago actually grew up a lot. However, a child captured by the divine wine is worthless. With this mentality, he didn't care about Lilica. However, he was very concerned about the conditions she proposed. The reason why the Dionysus family is in such a mess is because he doesn't care about anything except wine. Because of this, Sunny's gained the upper hand. Bacchus doesn't care who the leader is, as long as it doesn't affect your own brewing. If what Lily Lucas said is true, that is indeed very meaningful to Dionysus. Changing the leader of the clan is just a word from the gods. Before that, though, this wine uses divine power, no. Should it be mysterious, good money, Zhao? After realizing the essence of this wine, Dionysus became very interested. The reason why he doesn't use his divine power to brew wine is not because he doesn't want to, but simply because the rules don't allow it. There is no one in his family who possesses mystery. Therefore, he has always brewed divine wine through ordinary means. However, if mysterious can help, nature is better. Unfortunately, the brewer is not one of his own clan, so he is unlikely to be able to help. With this thought in mind, after finishing the tasting, the Dionysus asked him about another point he cared about, regarding the improvement of self-brewing conditions. Are you sure you can do what you just said? Although gods can tell whether humans are lying. But when it came to the internal changes of the family members, he still wanted to confirm. I'm sure, Lil Lucas said without wavering. Sir Sumo said that he will also cooperate with the Loki Familia. There will be no problem. Loki Familia? Dionysus remembered something. I seem to have seen this god before. At this time, a lively female voice came from outside the door. That's right, it's you. Goddess Loki opened the door and appeared. At some point, Su Mo, who had arrived in the center of the courtyard, took a look at the situation around him and immediately smiled. It seems we came just in time. You should have almost finished talking, right? The chaotic situation has settled on Dingyu. The gods gathered. The trend is set. Ordinary adventurers like Sunnies have no chance to interrupt. 234 Tianjio is on sale, a terrible marketing technique after Loki and Su Mo arrived. Sunnies was completely disqualified from speaking. He explained his plan in detail. After confirming that the brewing materials you will get in the future will be supplied several times as much as before, Dionysus immediately signed the contract. He doesn't know how to bargain, and he doesn't even engage in bargaining behavior. He didn't understand business, so he didn't realize that what Su Mo signed with him was not a profit sharing, but pay wages. Not only did he completely give up the possibility of getting rich suddenly, he even made his family members work for Su Mo. Although still cooperative in name, but in fact, Su Mo controlled the economic lifeline of the Dionysus family. If things go on like this, it's okay to say that the Dionysus Familia is a subordinate family of Su Mo. Loki naturally had no objection to this treaty. She knows the chaos within the Dionysus family. I don't think this is a bad thing for the god of wine's family. They hit it off. The three of them signed their names respectively. Then, the god of wine immediately removed Sunnies from the position of leader. He handed the position of leader to Lililuca. For him, it didn't matter who became the leader. As long as it could meet his winemaking needs, it would be fine. Before, Sunnies seemed to have some resistance to this transaction. Lililuca was Su Mo's spokesperson. Naturally, he would not let Sunnies continue to serve as the leader of the family. Instead, he chose Lililuca. Don't think that the god of wine usually doesn't care about things. In the family, the majesty of the gods is absolute. So, as soon as he spoke, Sunnies immediately lost his power. He didn't even try to resist and fell to the ground dejectedly. And Lililuca, as the leader appointed by the gods, was able to control the entire family. Of course, everyone knew that she represented Su Mo's will. But the gods have made this 387 decision, so they naturally have no way to stop it. After signing the contract, the god of wine looked at Su Mo. He wanted to ask him to help brew wine. With the help of mystery, the quality of the wine he brewed would definitely be greatly improved. The god of wine did not use mystery before. It was just because there was no talent in the clan who could awaken this skill. This time, there was a chance to meet him, even if the probability of the other party agreeing was low. It was worth a try. Chapter 297, as for the god of Dionysus himself. Su Mo didn't have much favorable impression. However, one has to admire his skills. No need for mysterious power. By relying closely on ordinary means, you can brew a divine wine that makes even the gods intoxicated. It's almost as good as the Tao. He is also very curious about this technique. And no need for mystery to brew divine wine. If mysterious power is added, to what extent can it be achieved? Su Mo was also very curious about this. He agreed to his request. However, not now, but at another time, after discussing with the two gods. Well done. Su Mo praised Lililuca beside him. It's all thanks to Master Su Mo. Lililuca doesn't take credit. She really meant it. After all, without the magic sword and fine wine, she could do nothing. Su Mo didn't think so. Ability to execute orders without compromise. This is also a type of talent. After signing the contract, Su Mo went back to prepare the goods. Under the command of Lililuca, the Dionysus family contacted other merchants to purchase packaging bottles and other items, and contact the channel dealers, and put the new wine in the most conspicuous position when the time comes. At the same time, after, the Loki Familia obey the orders of Lord Loki. Start promoting and advertising the new wine on the street. In terms of marketing, Su Mo, who has the experience of later generations, spares no effort. He took the initiative to dig into his pocket and paid millions in advertising fees. The whole city of Orio began to promote the heavenly wine that the Bacchus family was about to sell, whether it is a commercial street or a residential building. Even the inside of the dungeon is covered with advertisements for Tianjio. Not only that, Su Mo also issued many cards. Just scratch off the content on the card. Collect 5 different pictures to form a picture of Tianjio. You will have the chance to participate in the lottery and win the grand prize of 100,000 manali. A series of mature marketing methods from later generations were brought out. It immediately stunned those adventurers who had never seen the world, let alone an ordinary adventurer. Even the gods have never seen this novel method. Loki was even more stunned when he heard so many fantastic thoughts in Su Mo's mind. With heavy publicity, the adventurers and residents of Orio started a craze to collect 5 days of wine when the liquor is not actually sold. It attracted the attention of the whole city. This craze lasted for 3 full days. The Dionysus family finally got all the links through. All goods are ready. In the evening, sales officially begin. Originally, for this kind of peerless wine that was promoted as a divine wine, most ordinary adventurers, although enthusiastically watching the fun. But in fact, I know that I can't afford it. However, when they saw the price of this peerless wine, they were shocked. Tianjio is certainly very expensive, with a price tag of 200,000. But that's not important. What matters is, the light luxury version of Tianjio only costs 20,000, although the amount of wine was a little less. However, this is the number that an LV1 adventurer can save in 2 months. With only 20,000 yuan, you can experience drinks that are more delicious than divine wine. This is so overwhelming. Not to mention, except for the light luxury version, a limited trial version is now available. The trial version, priced at 5,000, is enough to be consumed in 1 sip. However, the price is particularly annoying. It is very friendly to those customers who are curious about the taste, but think they cannot afford it. Although adventurers rarely have savings. However, even if you're a novice adventurer, you still have a few thousand mana. Kill some monsters and save some. It's easy to save enough. Not to mention, now everyone is talking about this delicious wine. Wouldn't it be shameful not to give it a try? With this mentality, both novice adventurers and veteran adventurers were caught by Su Mo. Except for adventurers, this wine also has a special edition for the rich. The Divine Collector's Edition of Heavenly Wine is priced at 1 million phalli. The Heavenly Supreme Edition of Celestial Wine is priced at 5 million phalli. Moreover, Su Mo also released a mythical legend. On top of the Supreme Edition, there is also one that even the founder is reluctant to drink. The mythical and legendary version of Heavenly Wine. Once built in this way, the style will be there. Collector's Edition and Supreme Edition are still different from ordinary Tianjiao. But it's not any other difference, it's the concentration difference in the water. Just add a little less water. Leluca, who knew this, even doubted that this thing could be sold at all. Other aspects of the wine, including the portion size, are the same as normal Tianjiao. Only the packaging is completely different. Gold and silver are used as accessories, and the crystal base is used as a wine box, showing nobility and beauty. At first glance, you can tell that this is a luxury product used to show off. It turns out that Arario's gods are very fond of this trick. Just opened. The strongest adventurer of the Freya Familia. Oda from LV7 walked over and asked for 20 bottles of Heavenly Realm Supreme Edition. He even wanted to ask the clerk for the mythical version. Unfortunately, the clerk said he didn't know about this. Oda had to leave with regret. Oda alone had pushed the sales to 100 million. This shows how terrifying the money-making ability of this heavenly wine is. On this day, the craze caused by heavenly wine kept the whole city awake all night. Novice adventurers by the trial version, veterans by the light luxury version, high-level adventurers by the original version directly, the rich and gods by the collector's edition and the supreme edition. The atmosphere that has been continuously created for 3 days was completely ignited tonight. The aroma of various versions of wine permeated the city. At this time, Hestia, who had already tasted the more delicious divine wine, did not join in the fun. Su Mo also went to bed early. Wait until the next day. After getting up, he met Lilyluca, who came over. Su Mo then knew that the god of wine's family stayed up all night yesterday to check the accounts. Chapter 298 and the final sales volume also reached a very astonishing figure. Lord Su Mo, last night's sales volume reached 1.5 billion fares. Lilyluca reported with shining eyes. She had never seen so much money before. 1.5 billion. I'm afraid even the Loki family had never seen so much money. In the whole of Oreo, perhaps only the Freya family could have such savings. If the cost is deducted, the net profit is 300 million Baileys. Reporting the figures in the account book, Lilyluca blinked at Su Mo with a smile. The cost was 1.2 billion. More than 1 billion of it was the cost of buying wine from Su Mo. However, Lilyluca, who knew the truth, understood that Su Mo didn't have to spend a dime on the cost. No, it's not very objective to say so. Su Mo still spent part of the water fee. The cost of only a few hundred fares was falsely reported to more than 1 billion. Such concealed accounts are unparalleled. For this data, other partners, whether it is the Loki family or the Dionysus family, have no objection. Obviously, they all think that this kind of divine wine is very expensive. It is normal now. If Su Mo reveals the real number, they will not believe it. In this way, while making a lot of money on the cost, Su Mo also took the lion's share of the profit distribution, except for the 10% pure profit share of the Loki family. The rest, minus the salary of the Dionysus family, is Su Mo's money. Looking at the account, Su Mo said casually, "Let's give them a bonus based on 2 months' salary first. Whether it is the Dionysus family or the channel dealer, it's the same. They will be better next time if they are motivated. To open a business, you can't just give a fixed salary. If you want them to work hard, you naturally have to pay enough money." In this regard, Su Mo sees it very clearly, so he is not stingy. "Yeah," Lilyluca nodded, then said, "According to the regulations, the profit distribution is not settled yet, but your cost fee must be paid as soon as possible. Lord Su Mo, I'll send it to you when you need it." She came today mainly for this matter. 1 billion fares. Su Mo thought about it and ordered, "Please help me change them all into magic stones and send them over." He did not forget his original purpose, to collect enough Philosopher's Stones. 235 Philosopher's Stone get the power of God, although the sales volume on the first day reached 1.5 billion. But that was just the effect of the crazy publicity at the beginning. You can find it from the accounts. The best-selling one is actually the cheapest trial version, followed by the light luxury version. The ordinary version and the deluxe version are not sold much. On the contrary, the Supreme version sells well. After all, rich people only buy the most expensive, not the best. Presumably, after this wave of enthusiasm, the sales of the trial version will gradually decline. But by then, the original version, which is also the most cost-effective heavenly wine, will gradually begin to power up. Daily sales will probably stabilize at around 100 million. This is also a big business in Oreo. Weapons and wine are the favorites of adventurers. In addition, countries outside Oreo should also have forces that want this heavenly wine. If orders are negotiated with other countries, the benefits that can be obtained will only be greater. After waiting for a while, Lilyluka came back in a carriage. Following behind her were two LV2 adventurers from the Dionysus clan. As the leader who directly controls the wages of all adventurers, her authority in the Dionysus clan is greater than that of Sunny's. Sunny's is nothing more than pulling one faction to fight another. Only 1 or 2% of people really obey him completely. And Lilyluka, who controls the economic authority, can fully command the adventurers of the entire clan. As long as they still care about wages and bonuses, it is impossible not to listen to her orders. In the Dionysus clan, she can be said to have the final say. However, this majestic leader, as soon as she saw Su Mo, she immediately jumped to the ground with a hey-hoo. Then she trotted over. She looked at him with admiration. "Lord Su Mo, I've sent you all the magic stones you asked for." She looked like a loyal puppy. It was like a different person. "Thank you for your hard work." Su Mo nodded. "This is what Lily should do." Lilyluka said this, but she couldn't stop smiling. She brought a whole caravan, and the boxes in the caravan were all filled with magic stones. The total value was 1 billion. So many magic stones were several times more than what Su Mo could get by playing the dungeon alone. Fortunately, Su Mo had a basement, so he asked everyone to transfer all the magic stones to the basement. The basement was directly filled up by about 1 meter. If there are so many magic stones, looking at the weight of the magic stones in front of him, Su Mo was very satisfied with this harvest. These days, while busy with the affairs of the Dionysus clan, Su Mo did not forget to play monsters. There are also quite a few magic stones from monsters deep in the dungeon and accumulated philosopher stones, plus the philosopher stones extracted from one's own magic power. Add the magic stones in this warehouse. Now the amount is enough. After saying goodbye to Lilyluka, Su Mo came to the basement. He clapped his hands together 11 times. Alchemy was activated, and all the magic stones in front of him were transformed into Philosopher's Stone. Philosopher's Stone made of 1 billion ferrous. The amount is indeed not small. Finally, the conditions are met. After roughly measuring the amount, Su Mo felt that it was enough, even slightly exceeded. Alchemy was activated again. The next second, Su Mo appeared in a white and boundless space. There was nothing around. Only a huge stone door stood opposite. On the stone door, there was the pattern of the Kabbalah tree of life. It looked profound and mysterious. This is the gate of truth. It contains all the knowledge of this world. In front of the gate of truth, there are the philosopher's stones that Su Mo has accumulated during this period of time. Add the amount that Su Mo brought this time. If all are put together, a 6-meter-high pillar made of a philosopher's stone appeared in front of Su Mo. Such a large amount of philosopher's stone. In fact, most of it was obtained by the magic tempering of the third method. The rest was supplemented by the magic stones obtained during this period. It is not easy to collect these philosopher's stones, but fortunately, the conditions were finally met. It's time to harvest. Chapter 299, Su Mo Turnaround. Look at the big ball of light behind you. Truth, oneness, wholeness, God. The great ball of light has various names. Symbolizes all wisdom. I want to know how to obtain the power of the gods. Without much hesitation, Su Mo directly asked the question he had been wanting to ask before. The truth is different in every world. Even the gate of truth is no exception. Therefore, if you ask questions in the Dicuo world, you can only get answers from the Dicuo world. There won't be any useless answers like God Killer or Pandora's Dark Ritual. After hearing Su Mo's question, the philosopher's stone he had stored for nearly half a month was completely consumed. Only a thin layer of the 6-meter-high pillar remains. But such consumption, and got reciprocal rewards. The door to truth suddenly opens. Su Mo walked in directly. Knowledge about obtaining the power of the gods continued to pour into his mind. About 10 minutes passed. The infusion of knowledge is completely over. The door to truth is then closed. Su Mo, who had gained enough knowledge, stood quietly, consuming the knowledge in his mind. That's it. Covering, devouring, depriving, contracting, sharing, protecting, all of them are acceptable. From the vast amount of knowledge, Su Mo summarized probably a dozen ways to obtain the power of gods. The simplest is to devour. In other words, it swallows all the power of the gods into itself. That's what the monster Indaris did. Gain power by devouring gods. This is also the most convenient method. However, the god will die immediately. However, the method given by the Door of Truth is stronger and has no side effects. However, this approach only gains strength. Most of the corresponding knowledge will be lost. If you want to swallow the knowledge together, the conditions are very harsh, and the gods must not struggle and resist. Su Mo didn't have Pika, so naturally he wouldn't choose this approach. Not to mention, although the devouring method seems efficient, after doing it simply and crudely, even a god will recognize the power of your devouring. So be on guard. The second is deprivation. This is a method that will not harm the life of the god, but the god will return to heaven, kind of similar to the Godslayer gaining powers, but different. However, the gods of the different worlds on Earth will return to heaven. You can also communicate with other gods. Of course not. Among the remaining methods, 0. Ask for flowers, 0 protection, similar to that of Pandora and Ishtar. It is a god directly giving others the ability to borrow their power. The highest level of protection allows the user to even borrow the power of gods. The two kinds of protection on Su Mo belong to this type. However, the power gained in this way is not complete. Sharing involves a deeper change of power. It is not a simple shared ability, but there must be a corresponding inheritance, which is even enough to upgrade humans to gods. It is impossible for humans to become gods in the lower world now. This method is basically impossible to achieve. And the last one left, contract. It is the ability that is most suitable for Su Mo. The contract can obtain the knowledge and power of the gods at the same time. Among these methods, it is the one that brings the greatest benefits to users. And no harm will be done to the god himself. Although the conditions are harsh, it requires the gods to volunteer or to be willing. But unfortunately, this condition is not suitable for Su Mo. It's not a big problem. Not to mention Su Mo, who has mastered Mithras, the god of contract. It is completely possible to maximize the power of the contract. So, there was no hesitation for long. Su Mo chose the method that suited him. Although this time, the Shinua festival has not come yet. There was no cry for help from the moon goddess Artemis. But, except for Luna, there is still a goddess besides Su Mo. So, after thoroughly digesting this knowledge, Su Mo immediately left the basement, came upstairs, pushed the door open. Hestia had just gotten up after sleeping in today, and her hair was still a little disheveled. Hestia looked a little fresh without her twin tails. Su Mo? Has the matter with the Bacchus family been resolved? As for what Su Mo has been busy with these days, Hestia also knew something. I know that the Tianjio that has become popular in Oreo recently is his handiwork. Well, Tianjio became popular yesterday. According to reports from Lily Luca, the business should have stabilized. Su Mo nodded and walked towards Hestia. That's good. Hestia nodded. Since Su Mo took the lead in the matter of Sky Wine, it was naturally regarded as the business of the Hestia Familia. Although she didn't know much, she cared a little. But why choose the Loki Familia? That tablet goddess Loki is very evil. If you choose to protect her, you will also have Freya. Wait, after thinking about it, I think Loki Familia is actually quite suitable. He was halfway through complaining about his archenemy Loki Familia. Hestia suddenly remembered that Freya seemed to be more dangerous. She didn't want her child to be abducted by other goddesses. He immediately changed his tune and began to support the Loki Familia. The little thoughts of the loli goddess are very cute. After finishing speaking, she peeked at Su Mo. He was afraid that Su Mo would really deal with the Freya Familia. At this time, Su Mo had already walked in front of her. Hestia felt a little strange. What's wrong? Wait, what are you doing? Hestia felt a little flustered as Su Mo held her shoulders down. The baby's fat little face also turned red. 236 Eternal Holy Fire. Contract Hestia. Su Mo held Hestia's slender shoulders. Then said it seriously. I have obtained a mysterious contract that allows me to bypass the constraints of the gods and gain the power of the gods. I want to try it with Hestia. Is that okay? For the goddess of her own abandoned house. Su Mo had no intention of hiding anything. I don't feel the need to hide it either. And after hearing Su Mo's words, Hestia was immediately stunned regarding the ritual that Su Mo said to obtain the power of the gods. Hestia had no doubts. After all, Su Mo showed too many extraordinary things. Chapter 300. If you obtain any ancient ritual. Being able to do this is not surprising. She was surprised at how effective the ritual was. Bypass the constraints of the gods and gain the power of the gods. If he does this, Su Mo can gain access to Hestia's power, regardless of the fact that something like divine power cannot be applied. The point is, if you really gain your own power, Su Mo's lifespan is bound to that of Hestia. In other words, she doesn't have to go through life and death at all. Then you can always be with Su Mo. Is the 387 you said true? Hestia pulled Su Mo's sleeves with shining eyes and asked impatiently. Su Mo was a little confused. Why did Hestia seem to be more active than him? But it was indeed a good thing that Hestia didn't resist this. If the blue ribbon goddess refuses, Su Mo will not force it. After all, his original idea was not to contract Hestia, but he wants to contract with the moon god. It's not that he underestimates his own goddess. Rather, compared to Artemis, the moon goddess, there is also the hunting goddess. Hestia, the god of kitchen fire, doesn't seem to have any great power. Maybe it will make your own cooking taste better? However, Hestia's cooking skills are not as good as Su Mo's. All right, Su Mo admitted that he did look down on his goddess. However, even though I think so, but he was still very touched by Hestia's thoughts. I have no doubt that I have any bad intentions. There is no doubt whether he wants to do anything bad. He doesn't even consider his own safety at all. After hearing Su Mo's request, he immediately believed him. This wholehearted trust is the most endearing thing about Hestia. Of course it's true. Su Mo nodded and said, Then let's get started. Hestia agreed immediately without any hesitation. If Su Mo gets my power, you can be with me forever. She smiled stupidly. Hearing this, Su Mo was a little moved. Sure enough, the blue ribbon goddess is #1 in the world, since my own goddess agrees. Su Mo naturally didn't hesitate. Wait. Hestia was a little flustered as she watched Su Mo getting closer. Only then did she realize what the ritual Su Mo meant. Isn't it okay? Su Mo looked at this innocent goddess with amusement. Wait a minute, Hestia said with a blushing face. I haven't brushed my teeth yet, my hair isn't done yet, and my clothes aren't cute enough. Let me get ready first, the inexperienced goddess said in a hurry. It can be seen that she is very nervous, and Su Mo would naturally not let her panic like this. Then, he posted it directly, under Hestia's surprised and shy eyes. Kissed him directly. Hestia struggled weakly at first, but soon I became immersed in it. After being hugged by Su Mo, her slender arms also hugged Su Mo's neck. The power of the goddess. It reaches the tip of the tongue through the saliva, but does not extend outward. At the same time, Hestia, who noticed that the ritual was taking effect, also passed on the knowledge she had. Divine power circulating in the body. Sure enough, the god's restriction was not triggered. Su Mo did not directly absorb divine power. Instead, he analyzed it and recorded it in his mind along with the knowledge. At the same time, he activated the magic from the knowledge program of the Gate of Truth. I am the strongest and hold all victory in my hands. The power of the contract god from Mithras and Velislana is activated. Su Mo was tasting the taste of the blue ribbon goddess. Some vague chanting revealed the spirit of speech. You must definitely stay by my side. Even if the stars in the sky fall, even if the world comes to an end, even if you become the enemy of the whole world, you will always stay by my side until the end. This is the spirit of youth. It was originally meant to bestow protection on others. But now, because of the superimposed divine personality of the contract,
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.